Chapter 28:15. Although they had all come from the heavenly sage great world to the 9 states, they were still familiar with the beauties of the 9 states. After all, beauties were always the topic of conversation. It was even more so for men. Men could not live without women. Of course, there were men who could sever their relationships and stay away from women. However, in the entire world, such men were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. Lu Huaxian. This woman is indeed so beautiful that she doesn't seem to belong to this world. I've seen this woman once before, and she's simply a celestial being. I'm afraid that even the top beauties of our myriad races are somewhat inferior to her. A cultivator from the myriad races immediately said. When he said the words Lu Huaxian, his eyes lit up. Clearly, he was very interested in her. I've heard of this Lu Huaxian before, but I've never seen her before. Is she really that beautiful? If that's the case, we should take a good look at her today. Who knows, we might even get a chance to get intimate with her. Another myriad races cultivator said. Then another person said, even if it's a chance to get intimate with her, it's only Brother Mu who has this opportunity. Stop daydreaming. The cultivator said, after Brother Mu, isn't it our chance? Ha ha ha. The myriad races cultivators immediately burst into laughter. Mu Daoquan said, call the person in charge of Myriad Flowers Pavilion over. A myriad races cultivator immediately walked out of the private room. Not long after, the beautiful woman who had received Lin Feng's group followed the myriad races cultivator into the private room. Is there anything else I can do for you, young masters? Asked the beautiful woman with a charming smile. Is there anything else I can do for you, young masters? A myriad races cultivator said. I heard Lu Huaxian is here. Call her over to pour wine for us. When the beautiful woman heard the myriad races cultivator's request, she said, young master, Fairy Lu is the saintess of Myriad Flowers Pavilion. Her status is far above mine. How can I command her? Moreover, Fairy Lu is currently accompanying an esteemed guest. I don't dare to disturb her. When the myriad races cultivators heard the beautiful woman's words, their expressions darkened. Wu Qianlei sneered. What esteemed guest? Is his status even nobler than ours? The beautiful woman naturally didn't dare to say anything that would offend these cultivators. Although he loathed the cultivators of the myriad races, he had no choice but to smile in the face of them. The beautiful woman said, gentlemen, please calm down. That esteemed guest is Fairy Lu's guest. I don't know exactly who he is, but he must be someone important. There are many beautiful women in our Myriad Flowers Pavilion. Why don't I call a few over to accompany you? Young masters, what do you think? Wu Qianlei's voice suddenly deepened as he said coldly, we only want Lu Huaxian to accompany us. Are you looking down on us? Mu Daoquan's expression turned gloomy. Mu Daoquan was a cultivator from the 9-headed bug race. Among the myriad races, royal races, the 9-headed insectoid race was one of the top races. It was even possible for them to become the myriad races' royal race. Hence, wherever Mu Daoquan went, he was always surrounded by people. These cultivators of the myriad races gathered together. They were all led by him. Now that everyone had come out to enjoy themselves, if he couldn't even handle a woman, he would be the one to lose the most face. Go and tell Fairy Lu to hurry over and accompany us. Otherwise, we don't mind tearing down this Myriad Flowers Pavilion. Mu Daoquan said coldly. He was very domineering, directly threatening the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman's expression changed. If these people of the myriad races really went crazy, they could really tear down the Myriad Flowers Pavilion. The beautiful woman smiled bitterly and said, gentlemen, please wait for a moment. I'll go and invite Fairy Lu over now. Go and return quickly." Mu Daoquan waved his hand. The beautiful woman bowed and quickly left. "Ha ha ha, Brother Mu is still the domineering one. I'm impressed. How about we all toast to Brother Mu?" Wu Qianlei raised his cup and said with a smile. The others also raised their cups and toasted Mu Daoquan. Mu Daoquan also enjoyed the feeling of being the moon surrounded by a myriad of stars, and an arrogant smile hung at the corners of his lips. In Lin Feng and Lu Huaxian's private room, the sound of a zither and the fragrance of tea filled the room. Lin Feng sipped his tea while listening to the graceful sound of the zither. The last time he heard Lu Huaxian play the zither was more than 20 years ago, although cultivators had a long lifespan. In reality, both Lin Feng and Lu Huaxian were very young. 20 years might be a blink of an eye for cultivators who had lived for a long time. However, for the young Lin Feng and Lu Huaxian, it was extremely long. Back then, there was some ambiguity between the two of them. After not seeing each other for many years, this kind of ambiguous relationship had long become extremely faint. Now, they were alone in a room, but there was a chance for a comeback. Lu Huaxian's beauty was a kind of beauty that was almost flawless from the outside to the inside. This woman was simply the nemesis of men. She was a top-grade beauty that countless people were attracted to. Before the song ended, there was a knock on the door. Lu Huaxian's zither was interrupted. One of the zither strings snapped. Lu Huaxian and Lin Feng both revealed unhappy expressions. "Fairy, it's those people from the Wan tribe. They insisted that you accompany them. If you don't go, they said that they will tear down the Wanhua building." The beautiful woman said outside, "They're going too far." Lu Huaxian's beautiful face couldn't help but turn ugly. The Wanhua building had a very strong foundation and was on good terms with many factions. Therefore, very few people threatened the Wanhua building like this. These people from the Wan tribe had crossed the line. Lin Feng said, "Fairy, you don't have to take this to heart. I'll handle it." Lu Huaxian immediately revealed a smile. She had heard about Lin Feng long ago, but she had never seen Lin Feng take action. Now that Lin Feng had taken the initiative to take care of this matter, Lu Huaxian was very curious. Was Lin Feng really as powerful as the rumors said? Or could it be that the rumors were exaggerated? "Thank you for helping me out." Lu Huaxian's voice was filled with pity. This woman was really a vixen. Lin Feng smiled and then said to the beautiful woman outside, "Tell those people from the Wan tribe to scram as far as possible. Otherwise, I don't mind crushing them like ants." Lin Feng's words were extremely arrogant. The beautiful woman was stunned on the spot. If she told those cultivators from the Wan tribe, wouldn't she completely offend those cultivators from the Wan tribe? The beautiful woman wasn't worried that the cultivators from the Wan tribe would do anything to her. Chapter 28:16. These cultivators from the myriad races all had extraordinary strength, and there were experts like Mu Daoquan eyeing them from the side. Other than Mu Daoquan, Wu Qianlei's strength was also unfathomable. Of course, the other myriad races cultivators might not be at Mu Daoquan's and Wu Qianlei's level, but the difference was not particularly big. The myriad races were extremely powerful, and ordinary people really could not afford to offend them. But who would have thought that? Now, a young human cultivator was actually so contemptuous and disdainful towards a group of myriad races cultivators led by Mu Daoquan. This shocked everyone. They did not understand where Lin Feng got the confidence to provoke Mu Daoquan and the others. With the strength of Mu Daoquan and the others, they could simply sweep away any young cultivator. Other than Lin Feng, was there a second person among the young cultivators of the 9 continents who could be brought out The news of Lin Feng going to the Tianwu continent had long spread like wildfire, so no one thought that the young master with Lu Huaxian was Lin Feng. As for the cultivators who recognized Lin Feng, they were just watching the show. The more trouble the better, the better. Naturally, they would not expose Lin Feng's identity. When Mu Daoquan and the others heard Lin Feng's arrogant words, they were so angry that their faces turned ashen. The faces of these people immediately became extremely gloomy, and their eyes flickered with dense killing intent. A lowly human cultivator dares to boast so shamelessly in front of us. How laughable and foolish! Mu Daoquan's voice was cold. Cripple this brat. I want this brat to live in pain and regret for the rest of his life. They're about to attack. When they heard Mu Daoquan's order to attack, the surrounding people could not help but become spirited. There were many experts on the myriad race's side. And Lin Feng was alone. If they attacked now, they would be at a disadvantage. Hee, I'll break all the bones in your body later. A burly cultivator from the myriad races said sinisterly, I'll peel off your skin and keep it. Another cultivator from the myriad races said sinisterly. More than 10 cultivators from the myriad races pounced on Lin Feng together. Although these cultivators from the myriad races were extremely arrogant on the surface, in reality, at their current level, how could they have low IQ? No matter how arrogant they were on the surface, they knew that Lin Feng was definitely not someone to be trifled with. Thus, when the time came for them to attack, the tens of cultivators from the myriad races attacked together, because they didn't want any accidents to happen. Bang! 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 This was accompanied by a series of screams and violent collisions. The myriad races cultivators from the races who had entered the private room were sent flying. Their dantians fell in the hall's hall. His body twitched as he screamed. After seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded and in disbelief. These cultivators of the myriad races all had extraordinary strength. Besides, they had joined hands to fight against Lin Feng. They had just entered the private room. Then he would be crippled and thrown out again. Just how powerful was the cultivation of the young master in the box to be able to do this? Every cultivator was very curious about this. They wanted to know how powerful the young man in the private room was. Could this be another heaven-defying figure of the human race after Lin Feng? A cultivator from the 9 states asked. This made many cultivators from the 9 states excited. If that was the case, it would be great news for the 9 states. Who is this guy? How can he be so powerful? It seems that this kid is really fearless. I think Mu Daoquan, Wu Qianlei, and the others won't be able to deal with this kid. They should take a step back and find some experts to deal with this kid. Mu Daoquan and the others probably can't afford to lose face like this. They won't leave just like that. Moreover, Mu Daoquan and the others have broken through to the Boundary Emperor realm. If they really fight, they might not necessarily be afraid of this kid. Many cultivators from the myriad races, extraterritorial races, and other forces began to discuss the possible outcome of this battle. Clearly, in the eyes of these 3 forces, Mu Daoquan and the others would be at a disadvantage if they continued to fight with Lin Feng. However, it was just as some people had said. Mu Daoquan and the others wouldn't leave just like that. Otherwise, how could they show their faces in the future? Moreover, Mu Daoquan was a boundary emperor who had ascended the 26th step of the stone steps. Wu Qianlei was a boundary emperor who had ascended the 24th step of the stone steps. As for the other 2, they were the quasi-emperor experts who had ascended to the 18th and 20th stone steps respectively. These 4 were very powerful. They were very confident in themselves. Therefore, it was even more impossible for them to leave. Kid, I'll tear you to pieces today. Mu Daoquan and the others had extremely cold expressions as they approached the private room step by step. At this moment, Lin Feng walked out of the private room. He looked at Mu Daoquan and the others with an indifferent expression and sneered. "Ignorant fools! This is the 9 prefectures, not your heavenly sage great world. How dare you behave so atrociously in the 9 prefectures? Let's attack together and destroy this kid." Mu Daoquan shouted coldly. He was the first to attack. His head shook slightly, and the human-shaped head turned into 9 snake heads. The 9 snake heads spat out 9 different types of attacks. The 9 different attacks all blasted toward Lin Feng. Wu Qianlei also unleashed his own attack. He condensed a thundercloud that enveloped Lin Feng. Thick lightning bolts blasted toward Lin Feng. He wanted to kill Lin Feng directly. The other 2 experts also used their ultimate techniques. One of them condensed a blood-red fist. The other condensed a ferocious beast claw. The combined attack of the 4 masters was too powerful. Many people couldn't help but take a deep breath. Originally, everyone thought that Lin Feng might be able to contend with Mu Daoquan and the others. However, when they sensed just how terrifying the attacks from Mu Daoquan and the others were, they could not help but be shocked. They had no confidence that Lin Feng could withstand the attacks of Mu Daoquan and the others at all. Wouldn't that human brat be killed by such a powerful divine ability? Many people thought so. The cultivators of the 9 prefectures frowned slightly. They could not help but worry for Lin Feng's safety. Just as the attacks of the 4 experts were about to hit Lin Feng swept a punch at the 4 experts. Bang! His punch directly shattered the divine abilities of the 4 great experts. Then, the powerful punch landed on the 4 experts. Crack, 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 crack. The sound of bones cracking could be heard one after another. Mu Daoquan and the others were severely injured. It was not just their dantians that were shattered. They did not know how many bones in their bodies were broken by Lin Feng's punch. Chapter 28:17. Almost in the time it takes for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, the attack had actually crippled so many of the enemy's experts. It was really unimaginable. It was simply hard to believe that this was real. When Mu Daoquan and the others were crippled by Lin Feng, many people were still dumbfounded. They hadn't recovered from the shock yet, but in the end, they still came to their senses. Everyone looked at Lin Feng with reverence. No matter where the strong went, they would be respected by others. Lin Feng was naturally no exception. He had displayed powerful combat strength, so he was respected by the surrounding cultivators. The only difference was the mood of these cultivators at this moment. Although they were also in awe, the cultivators of the 9 provinces were clearly happy in their awe. Such a powerful figure had appeared in the human race. He might be another leading figure. Now that the world had changed, chaos had arrived. The cultivators of the 9 provinces naturally hoped to see more cultivators of the 9 provinces' world take advantage of this opportunity to rise, to lead everyone through this difficult time. Lin Feng's appearance gave them hope, and the appearance of this mysterious cultivator in front of them gave them hope. But these cultivators of the 9 provinces didn't know. Actually, the young human cultivator in front of him was Lin Feng, who was the talk of the town. Just throw them out. Then, those who should play, those who should enjoy. Don't let these people affect everyone's mood. After the beautiful woman came back to her senses, she hurriedly gave the order. This woman was clearly someone who had seen a big scene, so not only did she quickly calm down, she also made an extremely reasonable response. Lin Feng and Lu Huaxian found another private room. Hee, let's continue to enjoy ourselves. Duzu grinned and said. The evil dominator saint nodded and also returned to the private room. When they saw Lin Feng make a move, they didn't go out to help, because the person who made a move was simply too weak for Lin Feng. There was no need for their help. Moreover, Lin Feng had Lu Huaxian, a peerless beauty, by his side. What did they mean by helping? Wasn't this stealing Lin Feng's limelight? In the private room, Lin Feng and Lu Huaxian sat down. Lu Huaxian looked at Lin Feng with her beautiful eyes and said, "It's said that many of the older generation experts of the myriad races are no longer young master's match. I wonder if the rumors are true?" Lin Feng said, "Maybe I'm even more powerful than the rumors say." As he spoke, Lin Feng stood up and walked towards Lu Huaxian. Then he sat down beside Lu Huaxian. Lu Huaxian could not help but roll her eyes at Lin Feng in a flirtatious manner. She then said, "This place is so big. You can sit wherever you want. Why do you have to deliberately sit beside me?" At this time, Lin Feng's mind became active, facing a peerless beauty like Lu Huaxian. Moreover, he had some ambiguous relationships with peerless beauties in the past. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't wait for Lu Huaxian to take the initiative to close the distance between them. He needed to take the initiative. If he was a man, he needed to have the courage to take the initiative. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have the chance to fail. The goddess in his eyes might even be taken away by another man. Lin Feng was never someone who would sit still and wait for death. He smiled and said, "After not seeing each other for so many years, I naturally want to get closer to Fairy and whisper some things to you. Otherwise, the walls have ears and other people might hear us." Lu Huaxian rolled her eyes at Lin Feng and said, "What kind of reason is that? It's really far-fetched. Moreover, these private rooms all have sound isolation restrictions. How could others hear us? So, I'll have to trouble young master to quickly return to his seat." Lin Feng said, "That's not necessarily true. After all, there are many capable people. Perhaps some of them have a way to break the sound isolation restrictions. Don't you think so?" Lu Huaxian could not help but lightly snort. She was not convinced by Lin Feng's explanation. Lin Feng was currently sitting close to her. Clearly, it was not as simple as whispering to her. Lu Huaxian was too lazy to ask Lin Feng to leave. Lin Feng turned his head to look at Lu Huaxian. That exquisite and beautiful face was right in front of him. It was so beautiful that it shook his soul. Such a face was simply a masterpiece of the Creator. Lin Feng said, "I remember that you told me about this assassin organization called Heaven. You also worked for this assassin organization and even made me an external member. However, after so many years, I did not receive any missions. However, a few years ago, I met a person called Lu Qingqing. She was a member of Heaven. Moreover, she was a person from 8,000 to 9,000 years ago. Later, Lu Qingqing seemed to have left the 9 prefectures and returned to the Tianwu continent. However, when I returned to the Tianwu continent this time, I did not see her. Are you still in contact with Heaven?" Lu Huaxian said, "Now that I have lost contact with Heaven, I don't know what's going on over there. Perhaps Heaven has already left the 9 prefectures' world." Lin Feng and Lu Huaxian did not talk much about Heaven. The two of them talked about recent events over the years. As they talked, their relationship became closer. Lin Feng originally wanted to hug Lu Huaxian's slender waist. However, Lu Huaxian giggled and dodged him easily. The future is long. There's no need to rush. Lu Huaxian looked at Lin Feng with her charming eyes. Lin Feng smiled and said, "It's already late. I won't disturb Fairy anymore. I'll visit Fairy another day." Lu Huaxian said, "Young master, be careful. There are great emperor-level experts among the 10,000 races overseeing the six gods city. No worries. According to what I know, the ancient demon continent also needs a great emperor of the demon race to oversee the six gods city. Other than that, I feel that our human race might also have a great emperor of the demon race. Now that he has appeared, he might be in the six gods city, observing the situation here. Thus, I'm not worried that those great emperors will make a move in the six gods city. Lin Feng smiled and said confidently, "Young master is thoughtful." Lu Huaxian bowed slightly and sent Lin Feng off. After Lin Feng met up with Du Zhu and the evil dominator sage, they walked out. Many people stared at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's identity was still a mystery to everyone. At this moment, there was a commotion outside. Dozens of experts from the 10,000 races had arrived. The leader was a cultivator from the Sky Prison race. This race was also the top royal race of the 10,000 races. These 10,000 races were still relatively united when they were outside. Now, the cultivator from the Sky Prison race had led a group of experts to surround Lin Feng. They wanted to restore the prestige of the 10,000 races. It's Zhu Wushang from the Sky Prison race. This person is a boundary emperor who has reached the 60th step of the stone steps. With him personally leading so many experts here, there will be a good show to watch. I'm afraid that kid won't be able to escape this calamity. The cultivators from the 10,000 races couldn't help but become excited. The cultivators of the 9 regions frowned, and their expressions revealed a worried look. However, no one expected that Zhu Wushang from the Sky Prison race would turn pale when he saw Lin Feng. "Go, go, go! Let's leave this place quickly," Zhu Wushang said hurriedly. Without thinking, he turned around and fled as fast as he could. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. The others also didn't know what had happened and quickly left with Zhu Wushang. What's going on? Many people had puzzled expressions. Someone said, Zhu Wushang must have recognized that human cultivator's identity and retreated in fear. Hearing this cultivator's words, many people's hearts couldn't help but tremble. Everyone couldn't help but be puzzled. Who exactly was this person? How could he be so terrifying? Even Zhu Wushang was so scared that he turned around and fled without thinking? Chapter 28:18. After Lin Feng left, a piece of news began to spread. That person was Lin Feng. That was how the news spread. Lin Feng. It was a name that many people were familiar with. Many people had heard of Lin Feng's deeds. The myriad races, the extraterrestrial races, and the cultivators from the other factions hated Lin Feng to the core. As for the cultivators of the 9 prefectures, they were excited about Lin Feng's rise and saw Lin Feng as one of the future leaders of the 9 prefectures. However, most people had only heard of Lin Feng's name and had never seen him before. Now that Lin Feng had come to the Six Gods city, it caused quite a stir. Didn't he go to the Sky Martial Continent? When did he return to the 9 prefectures after stirring up a storm in the Sky Martial Continent? I heard that this kid plotted against Emperor God Wu Yuan and killed him. I wonder how he did it. It's said that Emperor God Wu Yuan chased after him all the way. Someone saw them enter the Godfall Cliff, the land of death. Even Emperor God Wu Yuan was buried in the Godfall Cliff. That's terrifying. I wonder what secrets the Godfall Cliff hides. Now that he has returned to the 9 prefectures, he didn't stay in the reincarnation immortal sect. Instead, he came to the Six Gods city. Doesn't he know that the myriad races, the extraterrestrial races, and the great emperors from the other factions are in the Six Gods city? If those great emperors attack him, he won't be able to leave even if he wants to. He's courting death. Those great emperors won't attack him so openly. Lin Feng's master, Lord Tortoise, is not to be underestimated. Emperor God Wu Yuan wanted to kill Lin Feng silently in the Sky Martial Continent. Who would have thought that he would be killed instead, now that he has returned to the 9 prefectures? None of the great emperors would dare to attack him openly. If they did, they would anger Lin Feng's master. If his master wanted to take revenge on the juniors of the various factions, who would be able to stop him? Many people began to discuss spiritedly. Lin Feng's arrival naturally caused quite a commotion, but it was not to the extent of causing an uproar. After all, Lin Feng was just a junior. Right now, there was more than one great emperor in the 6 gods city. Everyone's attention was focused on the great emperors. In addition, Lin Feng could attract a lot of attention. However, this level of attention couldn't be compared to those great emperors. There were more and more experts gathering in the 6 gods city, and it was getting more and more lively. Not only were there experts from the older generation, but there were also some young elites who were stronger than the older generation. Is Lin Feng here? This prince has been searching for him for a long time, but this child has always been on the run. Now, this prince has finally found this child. Sky Demon Emperor's son said with a cold smile after he arrived in 6 gods city. Surrounded by divine light, he looked like an immortal god. Is he going to display the might of the heavenly demon emperor? Many cultivators couldn't help but exclaim. They could feel a trace of the heavenly demon emperor's majesty from the body of the heavenly demon emperor's son. The heavenly demon emperor was an expert who dominated the universe in the past. His cultivation was so strong that it was difficult to describe it. Today, the heavenly demon emperor's son might be able to display the might of the heavenly demon emperor. This was an extremely terrifying matter that would cause a huge uproar and shake the world. This prince has awakened his bloodline many times in a row and has just undergone the 5th bloodline awakening. I've awakened many of the great powers left in my body by my father. Now, this prince is invincible under the great emperor. Sky Demon Emperor's son's voice was indifferent and lofty. As he walked through the 6 gods city, he attracted a lot of attention. The heavenly demon emperor had a very special status among the myriad races. This was because he was the first sage emperor to unite the myriad races after the Xiantian life forms era. He was equivalent to Qin Shi Huang to China. The heavenly demon emperor's tribulation stopped the war and slaughter of the 10,000 races. He made the 10,000 races submit and pay homage to him. From then on, the heavenly sage great world began to walk towards glory. In the Xiantian life forms era, the heavenly sage great world controlled by the myriad races had always been an important force. Even the celestials didn't dare underestimate it. In the past, when the heavenly demon emperor was at his peak, he was on equal footing with the celestial lord of the celestials. From this, one could see how terrifying the heavenly demon emperor was. Even if he died countless tens of thousands of years ago, but the heavenly demon emperor's son still had a special status among the myriad races. Many of the myriad races' cultivators had to bow to him when they saw him, and they even called him a prince. Of course, times had changed, and the heavenly demon emperor was no longer the ruler of the myriad races. Thus, many races were only polite to the heavenly demon emperor's son on the surface. If the heavenly demon emperor's son really ordered them to do something, they wouldn't necessarily agree. However, the heavenly demon emperor's son wasn't without followers. He had more than a dozen factions by his side, as well as an old golden crow with unfathomable strength. The old golden crow wouldn't do anything, so no one knew how strong he was. He was the heavenly demon emperor's Tao protector. The heavenly demon emperor's son has awakened his bloodline 5 times, and his own bloodline is abnormally strong to begin with. Even divine Dao Tian of the ancient divine clan has been left in the dust. Those heaven-defying prodigies' current combat strength is equivalent to that of a boundary emperor who has reached the 50th or 60th step of the stone steps. The heavenly demon emperor's son is clearly much stronger than that. If those heaven-defying prodigies want to catch up, they'll have to continue awakening their bloodline or greatly increase their cultivation. Now that the heavenly demon emperor's son has challenged Lin Feng, I wonder if Lin Feng will accept the challenge. I'm really looking forward to this battle. With the heavenly demon emperor's son's combat strength, killing Lin Feng won't be a problem at all. Many of the myriad races, extraterritorial races, and cultivators from other factions whispered in each other's ears, looking forward to Lin Feng's death. Not long after, someone came to invite the heavenly demon emperor's son for a gathering. "Who sent you here?" The heavenly demon emperor's son looked at the newcomer arrogantly. The newcomer was a middle-aged man. "I'm from the ancient divine clan," the middle-aged cultivator said. Many people exclaimed in surprise. If he was from the ancient divine clan and had come to invite the heavenly demon emperor's son, could it be that great emperor of the ancient divine clan? The great emperor of the ancient divine clan was a great emperor from the primordial era who had lived for several eras. He was an extremely terrifying existence. Among the great emperors, he should be one of the more profound great emperors. Originally, some people had guessed that the great emperor of the ancient divine clan would kill the Red World Fairy. However, the great emperor of the ancient divine clan did not do so. No one knew if he was afraid of her. "I see. Please lead the way." The heavenly demon emperor's son became more courteous after learning about the other party's background. Chapter 28:19. The celestial bestial emperor's son was a very high-profile person. Therefore, Lin Feng knew that he had come to Six Gods City and caused a huge commotion in the city. Thus, Lin Feng was well aware of the heavenly demon emperor's son's arrival. Every time the heavenly demon emperor's son's cultivation increases, he'll try to find me and show off in front of me. Lin Feng couldn't help but shake his head. This wasn't the first time something like this had happened. It was a common occurrence. Lin Feng was already used to it. Back then, young master almost killed the heavenly demon emperor's son. With his personality, he'll naturally view it as a great humiliation. He's only doing this to redeem himself. Duzu said, "I heard that the heavenly demon emperor's son was invited by the great emperor of the ancient god clan. I wonder what they'll say." Duzu pursed his lips. "Nothing good will come out of it. I've heard that this great emperor from the ancient god clan is extraordinary. Have you heard anything about him?" Lin Feng asked. "This emperor from the ancient god clan is called Shen Chu. Rumor has it that the reason for this name is due to the natural phenomenon when he was born. Rumor has it that a primordial light descended from the sky and entered his forehead. Because of this, Shun Chu has shown an extraordinary talent for cultivation since he was young. His cultivation increased at an extremely fast pace. Not even cultivators of the same level could compare to him. And the facts proved that this person had indeed suppressed cultivators of the same level and finally became a great emperor. He should have been an existence from the beginning of the ancient era and had lived through several great eras until now. He should have lived for over 10 million years, an extremely long time. No one knows how much his cultivation has increased over the years. Duzu told Lin Feng everything he knew about the great emperor of the ancient god clan. Lin Feng couldn't help but nod. Then he said, "Let's take it one step at a time. I'm very curious about what will happen in Six Gods City." Red Dust Immortal Sect. The Red World Fairy stood on the red dust cliff and looked into the distance. She was still disguised as a man, but how could there be such a beautiful man in this world? Old Ancestor Heavenly Dragon and Old Mother Phoenix stood on either side of her. They were also looking at the distant sea of clouds. I plan to head to the outer realm to break through to the Emperor realm," the Red World Fairy said. After hearing the Red World Fairy's words, Ancestor Sky Dragon and Old Mother Phoenix's eyes immediately lit up. They knew how powerful the Red World Fairy was. She was already so terrifying even before breaking through to the Emperor realm. Once she broke through to the Emperor realm, how powerful would she be? However, the Red World Fairy's savings were too shocking. It wouldn't be easy to break through to the Emperor realm. But since the Red World Fairy said that she planned to break through, perhaps she already had the confidence to do so. Congratulations, Venerable Immortal. You've finally taken this important step. Ancestor Sky Dragon and Old Mother Phoenix hurriedly congratulated the Red World Fairy. The Red World Fairy said, "Please take care of the Red Dust Immortal Sect. I'll be back soon." "Don't worry, Venerable Immortal. We'll definitely take good care of the Red Dust Immortal Sect," Ancestor Sky Dragon and Old Mother Phoenix said. Honored Celestial Hong Chen nodded and disappeared without a trace. In the outer realm, endless divine lightning condensed. Who knew how many millions of li it stretched out? That was the Red World Fairy's tribulation. This tribulation was called the 9 Heavens, 10 Earths, Purple Heaven Lightning Tribulation. It was a kind of immortal tribulation. In other words, this tribulation was a tribulation that only immortals would undergo. Now that the Red World Fairy was undergoing the Emperor Tribulation, she actually attracted the immortal tribulation. One had to know that the Red World Fairy had only broken through to the Emperor realm. There were several realms above that. Every major realm breakthrough would attract a lightning tribulation. However, the Red World Fairy skipped all the lightning tribulations of the Emperor realm and directly attracted the immortal tribulation. This was because the heavens were not willing to let a heaven-defying existence like the Red World Fairy survive. So they sent down the immortal tribulation to destroy the Red World Fairy. However, the Red World Fairy was too powerful. When the lightning tribulation descended and bombarded the Red World Fairy, the Red World Fairy was completely fine. This kind of immortal tribulation had a total of 108,000 lightning tribulations. It had been too long since someone had undergone such a tribulation. Therefore, when the Red World Fairy underwent this tribulation, all the realms in the universe sensed it. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in all the realms, and dark clouds covered the sky. The vast and boundless heaven realm stood at the peak of the heaven realm, with the supreme 33 heavens. Each heaven had a heavenly pillar. These were the 33 heavenly lords of the heaven realm. They were the supreme rulers of the heaven realm. The heavenly Lord Palace formed a world of its own, as if it was connected to the endless void. In each void, a mysterious existence could be faintly seen sitting cross-legged. They were all mysterious existences. It was as if he was an immovable deity. Is someone about to become an immortal? They actually attracted the immortal tribulation. The heavens are trembling. An ancient existence said, "Take a look and you'll know." Then a second existence said. These people saw through the layers of illusory realms and finally saw the Red World Fairy undergoing her tribulation in the starry sky outside the realm. A tribulation attracted by breaking through to the Emperor realm. Even the voices of these ancient existences could not help but change abruptly. This was simply too shocking and inconceivable. Such a heaven-defying existence actually appeared in the lower realm. This is truly unexpected. An ancient existence's voice became extremely cold. It was a voice that made people shudder. Such an existence is not allowed in the lower realm. Another ancient existence said coldly, his killing intent awe-inspiring. Even in the upper realm, such an existence is not allowed in the upper realm. Another ancient existence said, "Then let's kill her." These ancient existences quickly came to an agreement. In the starry sky world, lightning tribulation after lightning tribulation descended. The power of the lightning tribulation was extremely terrifying. Now, 107,990 lightning tribulation had descended. There were only 10 more lightning tribulation left, and the Red World Fairy would successfully break through to the Emperor realm. The last 10 lightning tribulation would be even more powerful and terrifying. As lightning tribulation after lightning tribulation descended, the Red World Fairy was still talking and laughing. Facing these lightning tribulation attacks, the Red World Fairy was very calm. Seeing that the tribulation was about to end, she did not suffer any injuries. The Red World Fairy successfully neutralized 9 lightning tribulations in a row. The last lightning tribulation began to brew. Amidst the endless sea of lightning, a vast world vaguely appeared. Chapter 28:20. Each of these 33 figures was stronger and more terrifying than the last. Each of them was like a terrifying being that had been formed since the beginning of time. His body exuded a shocking aura. These people were the lords of the 33 heavens. They were legendary existences. No one knew how terrifying their cultivation was or how strong their combat strength was. They had come to destroy the Red World Fairy. Of course, they were in the heaven realm. The ones that appeared in front of the Red World Fairy were not the real lords of the 33 heavens. They were imprints that the lords of the 33 heavens had projected into this world. Even so, those imprints were still frightening enough. They were like the 33 gods that had awakened from the beginning of time. They were high and mighty, looking down at the heavens. In this world, no one seemed to be able to fight against these terrifying existences. To think that a cultivator with such talent like you could appear in the mortal world, this is really shocking. Even in the era of the innate life forms, we have never seen someone with such talent. One of the lords said, his voice indifferent. His voice was filled with disregard for life. It was cold and sinister. Anyone who heard it would feel their hair stand on end. "Who are you?" The Red World Fairy asked curiously as she looked at the lords of the 33 heavens. She did not know the identity or origin of these 33 people. However, he could feel how terrifying these 33 people were. The aura of these 33 people was too strong. It was unknown just what kind of terrifying level the cultivation of these 33 people had reached. These 33 people were definitely heaven-defying existences. As for these 33 people, it was obvious that they were here to kill him. Honored Immortal Hong Chun was well aware of this. Our origins are not something you can imagine, the Lord of the 33 heavens said. The other lords did not speak. The Lord of the 33 heavens was called the Moon Eclipse Lord. It was said that this Lord of the 33 heavens had some terrifying means. He could even control the changes of the moon. Whether it was a full moon, a crescent moon, or a different color and shape, he could control it. This was the terrifying thing about the Moon Eclipse Lord. If you don't say it, how do you know that it is not something I can imagine? Venerable Hong Chun said slowly and politely. Even though she was facing the Lord of the 33 heavens, she was still extremely calm. Even the lords of the 33 heavens were amazed. They couldn't believe that there was someone in this world who could be so calm when facing them. And this person was actually a cultivator from the mortal world. This made them feel a little incredulous. Before the heavens and earth were created, we were already born, Moon Eclipse Heaven Lord said. So it's a Sciention life form. Didn't they say that Sciention life forms had already fallen? It seemed like the rumors weren't reliable at all. At the very least, There were 33 sentient life forms here. The Red World Fairy interrupted Moon, Eclipse Heaven Lord, not allowing him to continue. Venerable Immortal Red Dust only wanted to verify if his previous guess was correct. After verifying it, he found that his previous guess was indeed correct. These people were all sentient life forms. As for their identities, the Red World Fairy had no interest in knowing. The Red World Fairy did not care about others. She only cared about herself and the people related to her. No matter what these 33 people's identities were, what did it have to do with her? How rude! The people of the lower realms have no manners at all. Moon Eclipse Heaven Lord's expression darkened when he was interrupted by the Red World Fairy. His tone became even colder and more sinister. The Red World Fairy said indifferently, "If I don't want to listen, I can naturally interrupt you. If I don't want to listen, should I continue listening? You don't know the meaning of death." Moon Eclipse Heaven Lord snorted coldly and sent a palm strike at the Red World Fairy. A loud, rumbling sound rang out. A huge energy palm condensed in the void and blasted at the Red World Fairy. After the palm strike was sent out, something terrifying happened. The entire starry sky seemed to have frozen. Even the stars in the surrounding star fields stopped moving. It was an extremely strange scene. It was unbelievable, as if they had seen a ghost. However, the scene in front of his eyes was a real one. The entire world seemed to have stopped moving in an instant. Even time had stopped flowing. This was the terrifying aspect of Moon Eclipse Heaven Lord. His attacks contained the power of time and space. Thus, this gate seemed to have frozen the entire starry sky. Venerable Hong Chen's body could no longer move. Just as the terrifying palm strike was about to land on the Red World Fairy's body, just then, immortal Reverend Hong Chen disappeared without a trace. The Red World Fairy could be seen walking through the frozen world. The power of time and space is just a flash in the pan before destiny. The Red World Fairy pointed with her hand, and the frozen world returned to its original state. The stars began to move once again. The power of destiny. The 33 heavenly lords revealed shocked expressions. They had not expected the Red World Fairy to have grasped the power of destiny. "It's time for us to attack together." The other heavenly lords muttered to themselves. Originally, they did not need so many people to deal with the Red World Fairy. But now, the Red World Fairy had displayed the Tao of Destiny. This caused the 33 heavenly lords to be envious. Any existence that had grasped the Tao of Destiny possessed an unimaginable amount of destiny. If they could kill such an existence, then they would be able to plunder their destiny. These heavenly lords had been coveting the Red World Fairy's destiny. If they could plunder the Red World Fairy's destiny, they would be able to greatly increase their own. This was very important to the 33 heavenly lords who had reached the late stages of cultivation. The more they cultivated to the late stages of cultivation, the more they would understand what destiny represented. Boom, boom, boom. Terrifying fluctuations swept through heaven and earth, surging in all directions. The 33 heavenly lords attacked together to kill the Red World Fairy. Honorable Immortal Hong Chen sneered and said, "You guys think too highly of yourselves. You think you can kill me with just 33 projections? What a joke." As the Red World Fairy's voice fell, she continued to walk through the starry world. "I have a great wish. I wish for the myriad worlds to live in harmony. I have a great wish. I wish for the world to be free from hunger, cold, and pain. I have a great wish. I wish for the common people to be equal." Suddenly, the Red World Fairy chanted. This was the incantation of a divine ability, but clearly the divine ability the Red World Fairy was using to deal with the 33 heavenly lords was not the great destiny technique. Chapter 28:21. The red world fairy's voice was filled with grandeur. Her grand ambition was simply too grand. It was simply too admirable. However, the red world fairy was clearly not done with her grand ambition. I have a grand ambition. I wish for all living beings in this world to have eternal life. I am the red world fairy, and I hereby make a grand ambition. If the ambition in my heart can be fulfilled, even if I have to give up my life, I will continue to advance, and I will have no regrets even if I die. The red world fairy's voice was so ethereal and yet so sacred that it made people gasp in amazement. What kind of state of mind would allow one to make such a grand ambition? To have all living beings in her heart, to have all living beings in the world. She was even willing to give up her life. The red world fairy's breadth of mind was simply too broad. In the world of cultivators, who would not care about others for their own sake, many people were selfish and self-centered. However, the red world fairy was clearly not such a person. This ability was called the grand ambition technique. Once one made a grand ambition, a powerful will would be born from the unseen world, strengthening one's Tao heart. It would allow one to persevere and persist in their own thoughts. In order to realize these grand ambitions, one could work hard and strive hard. Boom! Boundless sacred light descended from the sky. The voices of all living beings could be heard from within the sacred light. It is our fortune to have such a cultivator who works hard for all living beings in this world. The sacred light was infused with the power of all living beings. The power of all living beings was extremely powerful, and it shook the void. It was as if it could shatter the heavens and destroy the universe. The power of all living beings fused with the power of the sacred light, transforming into the purest and most powerful power of grand ambition. Bang, bang, bang. A series of violent collisions rang out, and one heaven lord after another was sent flying. Although those heaven lords had powerful cultivations, they were still sent flying. Although they were powerful, they could not resist the power of grand ambition that was infused with the power of all living beings. What was the most powerful power? In ancient times, the ruler of an immortal kingdom had once said something. The ruler is the boat, and the people are the water. The water can carry the boat, but it can also capsize the boat. The people here referred to all living beings, and monarch referred to the supreme monarch that ruled the heavens. When all living beings gathered together, they could allow the boat to float smoothly, but they could also overturn the boat. Therefore, it was said that the power of all living beings was the most terrifying. This was also why the red world fairy's great wish technique was so terrifying. Although this great wish art wasn't ranked in the top 10 of the 3,000 great Taos, it was still very powerful. However, the degree of its terror was not inferior in any way. This grand Tao was not in the top 10 because it was too difficult to cultivate. Since ancient times, the number of cultivators who had successfully cultivated this grand Tao could be counted on one hand. It was rumored that even if one successfully cultivated the great fate art, they would not be able to do so. He might not even be able to cultivate the grand aspiration art. This was because in order to cultivate the great aspiration technique, one had to have the bearing to tolerate the great aspiration technique. What was the magnanimity to accommodate great ambitions? For the sake of the world, he was willing to sacrifice his entire life. This was the magnanimity that allowed for great ambitions. The world of cultivators was an extremely realistic and cruel world. Many people only cared about themselves and only had themselves in their eyes. How could they sacrifice their own life for others? Even the current Lin Feng could not do this, sacrificing oneself for others. In Lin Feng's opinion, This kind of behavior was too stupid. There was a saying that went, "Great wisdom is like stupidity." Perhaps immortal venerable Hong Chun had already reached such a state of mind. Therefore, the Red World Fairy had cultivated the Great Aspiration technique. The Lord of the 33 Heavens body was injured by the Great Aspiration technique. At this moment, the power of the Great Aspiration technique was constantly destroying the body of the Lord of the 33 Heavens. It wanted to completely destroy the body of the Lord of the 33 Heavens. The Great Aspiration technique. You actually cultivated the Great Aspiration technique. The Lord of the 33 Heavens roared in disbelief. He simply could not believe his eyes. Someone had actually cultivated the Great Aspiration technique. It was simply too unbelievable. Previously, when the Red World Fairy had displayed the Great Aspiration technique, the Lord of the 33 Heavens had not been so shocked and moved. From this, it could be seen how difficult it was to cultivate the Great Aspiration technique. In reality, the Lord of the 33 Heavens also had the cultivation method of the Great Aspiration technique. However, they were unable to cultivate the Great Aspiration technique. When the Lord of the 33 Heavens saw how heaven-defying the Red World Fairy was, he wanted to kill the Red World Fairy. This showed that the Lord of the 33 Heavens was extremely selfish and jealous of the virtuous. Such a character, how could they sacrifice themselves for the sake of the world? Therefore, it was impossible for them to cultivate the Great Aspiration technique. I have a great aspiration. I hope that the injustice in this world will disappear from this world. The Red World Fairy did not pay attention to the Lord of the 33 Heavens, who was roaring loudly. She continued to chant the incantation. The power of the Great Aspiration technique continued to descend. Its might became stronger and stronger, forming a silver river that descended from the sky and enveloped the Lord of the 33 Heavens. Kacha Kacha, the Lord of the 33 Heavens body, was unceasingly cracking. Clearly, the Lord of the 33 Heavens body was about to be destroyed by the Red World Fairy. You want to destroy our bodies? That's wishful thinking. The Lord of the 33 Heavens roared angrily. At this time, the Lord of the 33 Heavens also began to use his ultimate technique. The heavenly Tao is supreme. We are above the heavenly Tao. These people were constantly chanting incantations, and a powerful force was surging out of their bodies. The Lord of the 33 Heavens must be using some powerful ultimate technique. I'll let you have a taste of my self-created divine ability. At this time, the Red World Fairy suddenly spoke. The 3,000 worlds of the mortal world are but a pipe dream. Eternal prosperity is but a wisp of smoke. The Red World Fairy's ethereal voice resounded between heaven and earth. A hazy world instantly enveloped the Lord of the 33 Heavens. In that world, the Lord of the 33 Heavens saw his past life, present life, and even future. In his past life, they were born in the primal chaos. In this life, they went from being weak to being strong. Then, they seized a rare opportunity to rule the heavenly realm. In the future, they would walk towards destruction. It turned out that everything was like a dream. It was so unreal. No, how can this be? The Lord of the 33 Heavens roared. He could not accept what he was seeing. This was the terrifying part of the Red World Fairy. The concept contained in her self-created divine ability was even more profound than the divine abilities created by many immortals. The Red World Fairy was definitely one of the most talented cultivators in this era. Lin Feng's talent was strong, right? However, compared to immortal Exalt Hong Chen, he was still far too weak. Bang, bang, bang. The Lord of the 33 Heavens lost himself in the hazy world, unable to extricate himself. Their bodies exploded one after another. Chapter 28-22. Why do I feel like something has suddenly disappeared from my body? Lin Feng could not help but have a very strange feeling. He looked at his right wrist. Originally, there was a strand of red world love that connected him to the red world fairy. The love tribulation was the tribulation the red world fairy had to undergo before breaking through to the great emperor realm. First, she had to undergo the love tribulation to break the demon barrier in her heart. Only then would the lightning tribulation descend. Now that the red world fairy had become a great emperor, the strand of red world love had naturally disappeared. However, Lin Feng could not see the strand of red world love. That was why he had such a strange feeling. It was as if something that originally belonged to him had suddenly disappeared from his hand. The demon lord knew about the strand of red world love, but the demon lord had not told Lin Feng about it. Now that the strand of red world love had disappeared from Lin Feng's wrist, the demon lord's face immediately revealed an extremely shocked expression. The strand of red world love has actually disappeared. In other words, that woman should have succeeded in her tribulation? The demon lord muttered to himself. Thinking of this, his heart was filled with deep shock. If that woman had succeeded in her tribulation, that would be too shocking. The demon lord took a deep breath and then revealed a sinister smile. This is going to be interesting. I wonder how the big shots of the celestial realm will react to this woman's birth. The celestial realm, the celestial master palace. The 33 celestial masters opened their eyes at the same time. Their eyes flickered with dense killing intent. This woman is too terrifying. We have to get rid of her as soon as possible. Once her wings are fully grown, getting rid of her will become wishful thinking. One of the celestial masters said, "That's right. We have to get rid of her before she becomes a big enough threat. Otherwise, she will become a threat to us in the future." The second celestial master said. The other celestial masters nodded in agreement. "Who should we send?" One of the celestial masters asked. Due to various reasons, the 33 celestial masters could not leave the celestial realm. Naturally, it was impossible for them to personally kill Venerable Hong Chen. Of course, even if they could leave the heaven realm, they would not personally descend to the lower realm to kill the Red World Fairy. They were the high and mighty heavenly masters. How powerful were they? What kind of extraordinary identity was that? Was there a need for them to take action against a cultivator who had just entered the great emperor realm? No matter how heaven-defying that great emperor was, he was still just a great emperor. Send Imperial Monarch Tari. With Imperial Monarch Tari's strength, killing that woman shouldn't be a problem. One of the heaven lords said, "All right, then send Emperor Tuari over." The heavenly lords reached an agreement. Lin Feng was still patiently waiting for the great world to cut open the ape-shaped stone. However, it would take another month for the Tao Rising world to cut open the stone. During this period of time, a large number of cultivators had entered the Six Gods city, causing it to become more and more lively. Especially in the trading market, many rare treasures had appeared. Many races, extraterrestrial races, and cultivators from other forces took out many treasures from their respective worlds to trade. Therefore, the trading market was packed with people during this period of time. Other than the trading market, the market in the Six Gods city was also extremely lively. This was because the Six Gods city itself was a sacred place for stone cutting. In addition, all kinds of top-grade stones had been unearthed during this period of time. Naturally, it attracted many people's attention. Moreover, many people had indeed obtained good items. Some had obtained a Sciention life form's hand bone. some had obtained a mysterious catalog, some had obtained a Genesis firestone, and so on. During this period of time, all kinds of treasures had been unearthed in the stone workshop. Lin Feng did not go to the stone workshop, although he was very good at identifying stones. In reality, Lin Feng was not particularly interested in stone cutting. Many people were addicted to stone cutting because of the word gambling. Stone cutting was also called stone gambling. To put it bluntly, it was also a type of gambling. Gambling was very addictive. Therefore, it was best to stay away from gambling. On this day, an expert from the myriad races arrived. Gong Zongni, Gong Ziyu's elder brother, and a top genius of the sky demon race, had arrived at the Six Gods city. Gong Zongni's arrival caused quite a stir, because it was said that he'd obtained a treasure in the West Sea realm not long ago. That treasure was shrouded in chaos mist. Some guessed that it was a magic treasure, but others guessed that it was a natural treasure that could directly increase one's cultivation. Of course, no one knew what it was exactly. After all, Gong Zongni had quickly disappeared after obtaining it. Gong Zongni was an extremely heaven-defying existence to begin with. After obtaining such a fortuitous encounter, his battle prowess was bound to increase greatly. Lin Feng is in the Six Gods city. Someone transmitted a message to Gong Zongni, but the person did not appear. Clearly, they wanted Gong Zongni to deal with Lin Feng. Does anyone know where Lin Feng lives? Gong Zongni's lips curved into a faint smile as he looked at the crowd. The surrounding cultivators were in an uproar when they heard Gong Zongni ask about Lin Feng's residence. Gong Zongni couldn't be planning to deal with Lin Feng, right? Many people instantly thought of a certain possibility. The myriad races, alien races, and cultivators from other factions all felt that Gong Zongni might be planning to deal with Lin Feng. Thus, they were very excited. An expert like Gong Zongni was planning to deal with Lin Feng. The possibility of Lin Feng's defeat was very high. He might even be killed on the spot. The cultivators of the 9 provinces couldn't help but worry for Lin Feng. Gong Zongni's reputation spread far and wide. Even among the myriad races, there were very few young cultivators who could contend against him. It was said that Gong Zongni's battle prowess had long surpassed many experts of the older generation. Now, he could be described as unfathomable. I know. I'm willing to lead the way for you. A cultivator from the myriad races hurriedly walked out and said while nodding and bowing, "Lead the way." Gong Zongni said, "Please follow me, young master." The myriad race cultivator led Gong Zongni towards Lin Feng's residence. I didn't expect that the son of the heavenly demon emperor, who provoked Lin Feng before, wouldn't make a move against Lin Feng. Now, Gong Zongni wants to make a move against Lin Feng. Gong Zongni is one of the most hidden, terrifying existences among the younger generation of the myriad races. If he makes a move, Lin Feng will die, without a doubt. Let's go and take a look. We'll definitely be able to watch a good show later. Many cultivators of the myriad races, extraterritorial races, and cultivators from other forces followed abandoned to watch the show. Let's go take a look as well. Many cultivators of the 9 provinces were also very concerned about this matter. They also followed behind and headed towards Lin Feng's residence. Chapter 28-23. It didn't take long for them to arrive at Lin Feng's residence. The cultivator leading the way pointed to Lin Feng's courtyard. A large number of cultivators had gathered to watch the show. Everyone was waiting for a fierce clash between Lin Feng and young Master Nia. "Lin Feng, come out. I have something to ask you." Young Master Nia said indifferently with his hands behind his back. Although his voice wasn't loud, it was extremely penetrating and carried an unquestionable tone. Even people far away could hear it. So many people who were resting in the courtyard all came out to watch the show after hearing young Master Nia's voice. Isn't he here to kill Lin Feng? Is he here to ask about something? Many people looked at each other in dismay. These cultivators from the myriad races, alien races, and other factions all hoped that young Master Nia would kill Lin Feng. However, they now realized that young Master Nia had only come to ask about something. This greatly disappointed them. Lin Feng didn't show himself. Only his voice could be heard. What is it? Ask away. That brat actually didn't come out. He dares to be so arrogant in front of young Master Nia? Someone sneered. However, someone else said, so what? Lin Feng is a top genius. He isn't necessarily afraid of young Master Nia. Is he going to come out just because young Master Nia called him? Young Master Nia's eyes darkened. A cold glint flashed in his eyes. However, he was a scheming person, so he didn't act out. Instead, he hid the coldness in his heart and said slowly, have you seen Gongziyu? Lin Feng said indifferently, I haven't seen him. Young Master Nia continued, if you see my good little brother Gongziyu, tell him to come find me. A big shot from the clan has come and wants to see him. The big shot young Master Nia was talking about was the Empyrean Demon Sage. Lin Feng didn't know if the Empyrean Demon Saint really wanted to see Gongziyu, but he knew that Gongziyu wanted to kill Gongziyu and steal the magic lotus. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't let go of this chance to humiliate him. He said, of course I can help you pass the message, but you have to promise me one thing. Gongzongnia asked, what is it? When you see me in the future, take a detour. Lin Feng said faintly. Lin Feng's words immediately caused an uproar. He was clearly making things difficult for Gong Zini. People would take a detour around someone like young Master Nia when they saw him. Now, Lin Feng actually told Gong Zai to take a detour after seeing him. Those who didn't know would think that Gong Zai was inferior to Lin Feng, so he had no choice but to avoid him. Do you know what you're saying? Young Master Nia's voice turned cold. What? Don't you understand human language? Lin Feng pursed his lips. He and Gong Zini had already shed all pretenses, so Lin Feng naturally didn't need to be polite with him. You're just digging your own grave. Gong Zini's eyes flashed with killing intent. Even if I have to dig my own grave, I'll bury you. Lin Feng was very domineering and didn't fear Gong Zini at all. His words were sharp, leaving Gong Zini speechless. Lowly human, you're only good at talking. Gong Zini's voice was indifferent, but it was already filled with killing intent. You have the nerve to call someone else a lowly race after being raised as a slave by the ancient demons for tens of thousands of years? Lin Feng mocked. You're courting death. Gong Zini's eyes surged with killing intent. This was a period of time that the sky demons were most unwilling to talk about. During that time, they were slaves of the ancient demons. Many sky demons were still furious when they thought about that period of time. Someone as proud as Gong Zini naturally wouldn't allow others to talk about it. This Lin Feng is too domineering. He's constantly provoking Gong Zini. Does he want to fight him? Someone asked. That's very likely. Judging from Lin Feng's way of doing things, he's always been this domineering. Moreover, Lin Feng is on good terms with Gongziyu, and Gong Zini wants to kill Gongziyu. I'm guessing that their relationship is like fire and water. I wonder if they can fight. If Gong Zini wants to fight, Lin Feng definitely won't back down. Many people whispered to each other, discussing the current situation. Gong Zini's expression calmed down. I don't need to deal with you. Someone else will deal with you. I'll let you live for a few more days. With that, Gong Zini turned and left. Let's go, let's go. Let's disperse. Seeing that there was no more drama to watch, the surrounding people dispersed. Lin Feng's residence. In the living room, Tea was being boiled on the table. Lin Feng and Gongzi Yu sat facing each other. Gongzi Yu had arrived at Six Gods City the previous night. After arriving, he came to look for Lin Feng. Lin Feng and Gongzi Yu were once enemies, but now they were friends. Perhaps this was what they meant by no discord, no concord. This person is indeed very deep and knows how to endure. I provoked him, but he still didn't make a move. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. He's very scary. He's so scary that it's unimaginable. Previously, I almost died in his hands, but sooner or later I'll kill him myself. Gongzi Yu's eyes flashed with killing intent. Gongzi Yu had also had a fortuitous encounter, and his cultivation had increased greatly. Moreover, he had the magic lotus. This supreme treasure could allow his cultivation to increase by 1,000 miles. Empyrean demon saint, this Empyrean demon emperor probably came for the magic lotus, right? This person is a huge problem. Lin Feng said, he won't make a move. No matter what, he has to be cautious. Gongzi Yu raised his eyelids and said. Lin Feng thought for a moment, then nodded. Gongzi Yu might have been abandoned by the clan, but he was still the son of the Empyrean demon emperor. With this layer of identity, outsiders would not dare to kill him openly. And as Gongzi Nia's savior, the Empyrean demon saint's identity was extremely sensitive. The Empyrean demon clan even encouraged their disciples to kill each other to determine the strongest king. But if the Empyrean demon saint made a move, the nature would be completely different. Screech! On this day, the cry of a phoenix resounded throughout the world. A flaming phoenix came with 100,000 divine flames. It's Old Mother Phoenix, someone exclaimed. This was an unfathomable existence that had always been by the Red World Fairy's side. She was an expert of the demon clan. Old Mother Phoenix had been around for a long time, and it was said that she had undergone 3 nirvanic rebirths, which was equivalent to cultivating for 3 lifetimes. Many people had made deductions about the strength of the demon clan experts of the ancient demon continent. Many people believed that Old Mother Phoenix was very likely one of the most powerful cultivators of the ancient demon continent. This was definitely an expert who could shock the heavens and make ghosts and gods weep. Chapter 28-24. Swoosh! A black ray of light streaked across the void. The black ray of light seemed to be able to shatter heaven and earth, shattering the firmament. The black ray of light directly slashed toward Old Mother Phoenix. Heavens! Someone actually attacked Old Mother Phoenix. Many people exclaimed, who wouldn't respect an expert like Old Mother Phoenix? Now, a cultivator had attacked Old Mother Phoenix, but the attacker had yet to show himself. Thus, no one knew who had attacked Old Mother Phoenix. Lin Feng, Gongzi Yu, Du Zhu, and the heretic dominator Saint also looked into the distance. Lin Feng had seen Old Mother Phoenix once during the Red World Fairy's birthday. At that time, Old Mother Phoenix and Patriarch Sky Dragon had formed the auspicious dragon and phoenix aura. They had congratulated the Red World Fairy on her birthday. Thus, Lin Feng had a deep impression of her. However, he hadn't expected Old Mother Phoenix's cultivation to be so powerful. A black ray of light with the power of fire lingering around it. Why do I feel that this power comes from the same source as the power of the Phoenix clan? Lin Feng couldn't help but feel puzzled. The same source? Could it be the Phoenix clan that attacked? Du Zhu muttered. We'll know when we see it, Lin Feng said. Old Mother Phoenix stretched out her phoenix claw and gently grabbed at the void. A clang was heard. In an instant, the claw directly shattered the black ray of light. Come out! Old Mother Phoenix flapped her wings, and 2 terrifying wind blades swept toward the void in the distance. Bang! The void shattered, and a black phoenix flew out from it. The black phoenix was surrounded by black flames. It was extremely strange. When Lin Feng saw the black phoenix, he was shocked. This was the first time he had seen such a phoenix. He had never even heard of such a black phoenix before, let alone seen it. Such a black phoenix was a little too strange. Dark Phoenix. Old Mother Phoenix looked at the black phoenix in shock. The Dark Phoenix was rumored to be a fallen phoenix of the Phoenix clan. Its soul had been sold to the devil in hell. Because of this, he was able to control the power of darkness. However, he was expelled from the Phoenix clan. This matter was only known to the inner circle of the Phoenix clan. No outsiders knew about it at all. Even after countless years, the Dark Phoenix's inheritance had not been severed. This race was synonymous with darkness and evil. He had a great hatred for the Phoenix clan. Perhaps it was because they hated being expelled from the Phoenix clan. So the Dark Phoenix clan wanted nothing more than to exterminate all the phoenixes. Only by doing so could they vent their hatred. That's right. Old Mother Phoenix, let this seat experience your divine ability again. The Dark Phoenix sneered as it flapped its wings. A large amount of black energy surged out of the wings. The black energy gathered together and exuded a world-destroying fluctuation. That kind of aura was too terrifying. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. In the face of the Dark Phoenix's tyrannical attack, Old Mother Phoenix's wings also began to vibrate. A large amount of fiery red energy flew out. Bang! The two terrifying beings collided with each other violently. With them as the epicenter, the void was constantly collapsing. Many people felt the Emperor's might and lost control of their bodies. They immediately knelt on the ground. If the two of you continue to fight, I'm afraid Six God City will be destroyed. Let's end this battle here. An old voice came from Six God City. As the voice fell, a tyrannical power surged out. That tyrannical power separated Old Mother Phoenix and the Dark Phoenix. What a powerful existence. Who is that old man? Many people were shocked. The person who had attacked must be extremely terrifying. Otherwise, it would be impossible to separate the two. Is it an expert from the 9 prefectures? Many cultivators from the 9 prefectures became excited. The myriad races, the extraterrestrial races, and the great emperors from other forces would definitely not stop the battle between Old Mother Phoenix and the Dark Phoenix. They probably hoped that the battle between the two sides would be as intense as possible. They might even be able to reap some benefits from it. Therefore, the ones who should stop this battle should be the cultivators from the 9 prefectures. I'm afraid there is more than one peak expert from the 9 prefectures. Gongzi, you said. Lin Feng nodded and said, in the past, these existences had never appeared in the world. However, now that the world has changed and the myriad races, the extraterrestrial races, and the cultivators from other forces have entered the 9 prefectures, the peak experts of the 9 prefectures have begun to move about. These experts clearly did not become great emperors in this era. They should have lived for a very long time. Now, they wanted to fight for a future. Old Mother Phoenix and the Dark Phoenix separated. In the end, Old Mother Phoenix transformed into a beautiful woman and landed in Six Gods City. As for the Dark Phoenix, it transformed into a middle-aged man dressed in black clothes. He also entered Six Gods City. I wonder how many great emperors have gathered in Six Gods City. Lin Feng couldn't help but stroke his chin. The next day, a piece of news spread throughout Six Gods City. 5 or 6 heaven-defying geniuses from the myriad races, imperial families had been defeated by a human youth. Moreover, all of their heirlooms had been snatched away by the youth, becoming his spoils of war. This caused a huge commotion because the youth looked to be only 16 or 17 years old. Some people even sensed his actual age. They discovered that the youth was indeed too young. He was really only 16 or 17 years old. Lin Feng was shocked when he heard about this. He's so young, yet he's already capable of suppressing the myriad races, heaven-defying geniuses. Just who is that youth? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. As expected, there was no lack of geniuses in the world. Perhaps the people of this era were about to witness the birth of an extremely heaven-defying existence. 3 days later, the young man helped an old man to the outskirts of Six Gods City. Cough, cough, cough. The old man coughed violently. He was too old, and his slightly tall body was now slightly hunched. Six Gods City, what a nostalgic place. The old man looked at the 3 words on the city wall. The youth asked, "Grandpa, have you been to Six Gods City before?" "Yes, I've been here before, and I have a special memory. Even though many years have passed, I haven't forgotten what happened during that time. However, the world has changed. The Six Gods City today is no longer the Six Gods City of my memories," the old man said. With the youth's help, the old man entered Six Gods City. The news of this young man coming to the Six Gods City spread very quickly, attracting many people. Everyone wanted to see where this young man came from. He was so young, yet he was already so strong. Lin Feng, Gongziyu, Du Zhu, and the heretic sovereign sage also went to take a look when they heard that the youth had arrived. Chapter 28-25. When Lin Feng and the others came out, they saw a young man supporting an old man from afar. Now, many people were pointing at the young man. That young man was the rumored heaven-defying human youth. When Lin Feng saw the young man, he could not help but be slightly surprised. He was indeed young and very handsome. There was a hint of arrogance between his brows. He's really too young. I wonder who he is. Why is his talent so heaven-defying? Even if he started cultivating in his mother's womb, he shouldn't be able to cultivate to such a level. Du Zhu rubbed his chin and said, "Unless he's been enlightened by someone else." Enlightened by someone was a peerless expert who used a special method to impart his or her skills to someone else. For example, sealing a part of one's skills in someone else's body. That person might recover that part of their skills in the future, and that strength would belong to that person. This kind of thing was extremely rare in the world of cultivators. Cultivators who could be enlightened were definitely peerless and terrifying existences. Moreover, the enlightenment bestowal would also cause great harm to their bodies. Experts like them might not necessarily do something like enlightenment bestowal. They would only take such a risk if they had no other choice. Of course, they could not rule out the possibility that this young man had been enlightened by someone else, which was why he was so heaven-defying. If he had cultivated to such a heaven-defying level in his teens by himself, it would be too inconceivable. Even Lin Feng did not dare to believe that it was true. Look at that old man. Don't you feel that there's something special about him? Lin Feng pointed at the old man, supported by the young man. Lin Feng felt that there was something special about the old man. However, when he sensed it carefully, something did not seem right. The magic power fluctuations in the old man's body were close to disappearing. His aura was weak. His flame of life was extremely thin. His life had come to an end. He could be buried in the earth at any time. He's an old man with 1 foot in the grave. Is there anything special about him? Gongziyu asked. Lin Feng shook his head and said, "I don't know either. Maybe it's because I'm being supported by the young man. That's why I'm having an illusion." Grandpa, is this very different from the Six God City in your memories? The young man looked at the old man and asked. The old man said, "Indeed, it has changed a lot. However, the only thing that hasn't changed is the layout of the streets. It's still the same as before. Six God City has also gone through a few trials and tribulations. It's really not easy for it to become like this. Cough, cough, cough. After the old man finished speaking, he coughed violently. His body swayed, slightly as if he was about to fall to the ground. Does this old thing want to see the ancient city he used to live in before he dies? A cultivator mocked, in a low voice. There was a commotion in the distance. Experts had arrived. They were a group of experts from the myriad races. Someone recognized a cultivator from the ancient god clan. The cultivator's name was Shunwuji. He was not young, having cultivated for more than 200,000 years. He was very prestigious in the ancient god clan. I heard that even Shin Daotian was defeated by that young man. A cultivator said. Lin Feng was shocked when he heard that. Shin Daotian had some grudges with him, so Lin Feng knew how strong Shin Daotian was. Even Shin Daotian was defeated in the hands of this young man. It was indeed too unimaginable. One had to know that Shin Daotian was one of the top geniuses among the myriad races, heaven-defying geniuses. Therefore, Shin Daotian's defeat was unexpected. Is Shun Wuji planning to deal with that young man? Someone asked. If Shun Wuji made a move, he might be able to defeat the young man. However, the age gap between them was too big. That would be unfair. Where are you from? Shun Wuji asked. The young man said, arrogantly, is that something you're qualified to know? Arrogant brat. Shun Wuji's eyes darkened. Someone was actually looking down on him like that. This caused Shun Wuji's heart to be filled with rage, and his gaze towards the young man became even colder and more sinister. The old man, supported by the young man, spoke. We've long since been forgotten. Why bring up our origins again? Shun Wuji frowned at the old man, but he didn't say anything else. He left with his people. All sorts of people had appeared in Six Gods City. Some people's backgrounds were so great that they could scare people to death. During this period of time, conflicts would occur every day in Six Gods City. Battles would often break out between cultivators. The Fire Qilin and some people from the Devil race had come to Six Gods City. When they heard that Lin Feng was also in the city, they quickly came to look for Lin Feng. Other than the Fire Qilin, Lin Feng also saw the little Peng King, Princess Shui Yao, and the others. They were all old friends of Lin Feng from the Martial Heaven continent. That was why Lin Feng was very close to them. Little Moon couldn't come out this time. If she knew that big brother Lin Feng, whom she missed so much, was in Six Gods City, she would definitely rush over without a care, said Princess Shui Yao with a smile. There was less of a holy aura around her, and more of an approachable temperament. This kind of Princess Shui Yao made people feel that she was more approachable. Lin Feng smiled. I wonder what Little Moon is doing now. She's going into seclusion to undergo a bloodline baptism, said Princess Shui Yao. Lin Feng was shocked. This is very important to Little Moon. Yes. However, Lin Gongzi doesn't need to worry. She has already undergone a bloodline baptism twice. This will be the third time, so there shouldn't be any problems, said Princess Shui Yao. Then I'm relieved. Lin Feng nodded. At night, the group headed to the Myriad Flower Pavilion. The group of over 10 people was quite lively. Everyone gathered together, chatting and drinking. The Fire Qilin brought a piece of important news. The Great Peng King and the Peacock King have been in the Western Sea all this time. They seem to have noticed something important, said the Fire Qilin. The Western Sea Primal Chaos Ancient Nation? Asked Lin Feng in shock. This was definitely no small matter. That's right. Let's wait for news, and then prepare to go to the Primal Chaos Ancient Nation at any time. It's said that there are too many secrets hidden there, said the Fire Qilin excitedly. The origin of the primal chaos ancient nation was too mysterious. It had never revealed itself, but one could imagine that once it did, it would definitely cause a storm of blood. Chapter 28-26. On this day, the six-god city was bustling with noise and excitement. A large number of cultivators gathered at the central plaza. This was because the Tao Rising World was going to cut the stone at the central plaza. Lin Feng, Gong Ziyu, Fire Qilin, and the others gathered together and walked towards the central plaza. I wonder if the great sage, Heaven's Equal, is really sealed. If he really sealed the great sage, Heaven's Equal, I'm afraid a bloodbath would ensue today. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. If the rumors were true, the great sage, Heaven's Equal, was sealed inside. Given the great sage's cultivation, he should have already cut open the stone and come out. However, the great sage, Heaven's Equal, had yet to come out. This meant that the great sage, Heaven's Equal's body had encountered a huge problem. An existence like the great sage, Heaven's Equal, had devoured an unknown amount of fate in his life. If the great sage, Heaven's Equal, was sealed inside, many people would want to take his life. How much fate could one obtain by killing the great sage, Heaven's Equal? Originally, reaching the Imperial Emperor realm was the limit. However, if one killed the great sage, Heaven's Equal, and obtained his fate, they might be able to break through to the immortal realm. Many people came here with such thoughts. Therefore, although it seemed calm now, there were actually undercurrents surging. A bloodbath could erupt at any time. Many cultivators gathered at the central plaza. There were also many cultivators floating in the sky. The Tao Rising World's cultivators had yet to arrive. Everyone was waiting. It's said that the cultivators who cut open the extraordinary items or seal themselves as experts can also obtain a portion of fate. The two great emperors of the Tao Rising World will definitely obtain a huge amount of fate. A cultivator said. Lin Feng was slightly surprised when he heard this. Previously, he was puzzled that the Tao Rising World's cultivators didn't take the stone for themselves. Instead, they opened it openly. However, all his doubts were gone now. Firstly, the two great emperors of the Tao Rising World could obtain fate if they cut open the stone. Secondly, if they pocketed it for themselves, the other forces might gang up on them. They're here, a cultivator pointed into the distance. Everyone looked over. Dozens of cultivators flew over. The two people in the lead were the two great emperors of the Tao Rising World. One of the great emperors was an old man with white hair and a youthful face. The other great emperor was a middle-aged man in his 40s. The old man is called Dao Wuyuan, and the middle-aged cultivator is called Dao Shengfa. Previously, Dao Shengfa's son was killed by the cultivators of the Nine Mysterious Great World. Therefore, Dao Shengfa and the great emperor of the Nine Mysterious Great World fought, but in the end, there was no clear victor. A cultivator said, the destruction caused by that battle was huge. It was simply world-shaking. Someone sighed with emotion. When he thought of how terrifying that battle was, he still felt a lingering fear. After the people from the Tao Chi Major world arrived, a void battle ring appeared in the central square. The people from the great world of Tao stopped on the void arena. The void battle ring was suspended in midair, and everyone could clearly see the scene above. I'm sure everyone has been waiting for a long time. Let's not waste any more time. Let's cut the stone now. Dao Wuyuan said. The people of the Tao Chi Great World were very straightforward and did not waste any time. Dao's Saint Technique waved his right hand. Whoosh! Light flashed. The ape-shaped stone flew out and landed on the void battle ring. The stone was about 3 meters tall and had the shape of an ape. The stone was extraordinary. It was surrounded by holy light. If one carefully sensed it, one could sense a powerful aura fluctuation from the stone. That aura fluctuation shocked and moved everyone. The vitality contained in this stone is too exuberant. Although it hasn't been cut open, I can still sense the boundless vitality within it. A cultivator exclaimed in surprise. It was indeed as the cultivators said. The vitality contained in the ape-shaped stone was too exuberant. It was as boundless as the sea. He really didn't know what kind of creature it was to have such boundless vitality. It was just too shocking. It seems that the great sage, heaven's equal, is sealed in this stone. Yes, it's indeed possible. Otherwise, it wouldn't have such boundless vitality. Many people whispered to each other. They could not wait to see the two great emperors of the Tao Chi major world cut open the stone. They wanted to know if the great sage, heaven's equal, was sealed in the stone. Even if it was not the great sage, heaven's equal, such exuberant vitality was enough to shock the world. Let's start cutting the stone now, Dao Shengfa said as he took out a stone-cutting knife. Dao Wuyuan also took out a stone-cutting knife. He and Dao Shengfa, one on the left and the other on the right, began cutting the stone. Originally, one person was enough to cut the stone. However, the two of them wanted to obtain the providence on the stone. Hence, they chose to cut the stone together. Swoosh! Stone chips flew everywhere. Stone chips fell off one by one. The surface area of the stone kept shrinking. The surrounding cultivators stared at the stone that kept shrinking without blinking. They did not know if the legendary great sage, heaven's equal, was sealed in that stone. If that was the case, it would be earth-shattering news. Not long after, the stone shrank by half. Clang! The stone-cutting knife in Dao Shengfa's hand seemed to have cut something special. There was a clanging sound. He cut something. Everyone's expression suddenly changed. They looked at the arena nervously. Dao Shengfa slowed down a lot, as if he was afraid of damaging the thing that was about to be cut. Swoosh! Swoosh! Stone chips were constantly being cut off. Finally, a trace of the thing's true appearance was revealed. It was actually a stone sword. A terrifying aura was emitted from the stone sword. The aura was too terrifying. The aura emitted by the stone sword made the two great emperors unable to stand still. It was hard to imagine how terrifying the stone sword was. Stone sword, one of the 36 stone swords. Lin Feng was shocked when he saw the stone sword. It was definitely one of the 36 stone swords. Lin Feng was too familiar with the stone sword's aura. Hence, he could not be wrong. The value of such a stone sword was too great. It was enough to cause a storm of blood. What stone sword is that? Its aura is so terrifying. Many people were puzzled. They did not recognize the stone sword. It's the legendary peerless stone sword that spanned across epochs. The 36 stone swords are said to be able to kill any expert. A cultivator said, "What? There's such a heaven-defying treasure?" Many cultivators who heard of the stone sword for the first time shouted in shock. This is the legendary stone sword. Chapter 28-27. The stone sword was too extraordinary. It was fine if it didn't appear, but once it did, it would definitely cause an earth-shattering change. Now that the stone sword had appeared, everyone was shocked. Everyone was amazed by the stone sword's extraordinariness. Countless eyes were staring at the stone sword in the dark. This treasure, it was enough to make many people lose themselves and go crazy. In order to obtain this treasure, they were willing to commit endless killings. However, no one had made a move yet. This was because the stone had yet to be completely cut open. Everyone was still waiting for the scene after the stone was cut open. Was the great sage equaling heaven inside? Lin Feng couldn't wait to snatch the stone sword over. However, he knew that he had to be patient. There were two great emperor-level existences standing on the stage. Moreover, he didn't know how many great emperors were watching from the dark. If he were to make a move now, wouldn't he be courting death? The birth of the stone sword is truly a stroke of luck. The two great emperors, Dao Wuyuan and Dao Shengfa, exclaimed. The birth of the stone sword was already a heaven-defying opportunity, and luck. They could clearly feel that the luck in their bodies was constantly increasing. The two of them continued to cut the stone. Swoosh, swoosh. The stone layer fell off. Stone fragments flew everywhere. The complete stone sword appeared in everyone's line of sight step by step. Not long after, a palm was suddenly cut out. It wasn't a palm with a finger, but a hand. The palm is out. The great sage equaling heaven is really going to be cut out. The surrounding cultivators exclaimed in shock. The birth of the great sage equaling heaven. How shocking would this be? This existence was a mythical figure. Now that a legendary figure was about to appear, it was naturally exciting. I never thought that after countless years, the two of us would personally cut out the great sage equaling heaven. Dao Wuyuan said, his voice filled with excitement. This was indeed something to be proud of. Cutting out the great sage equaling heaven from the stone was enough to be recorded in history. Swoosh, swoosh. Stone fragments fell on the ground and piled up together. A complete arm soon appeared in everyone's sight. Not long after, even the body appeared. This was indeed the body of a stone ape. It was extremely lifelike and exuded a powerful vitality. Its aura was extremely terrifying. That's soon, everyone cried out in surprise because they saw a shocking scene. The stone sword actually pierced through the stone ape's chest and into its heart. Back then, the great sage equaling heavens was gravely injured because the stone sword pierced through his heart. Lin Feng's heart was in turmoil. He had never thought that the great sage, heaven's equal, would suffer a calamity because of such a reason. The stone sword was too terrifying. If the stone sword pierced the great sage, heaven's equal's heart, even an existence like the great sage, heaven's equal would be severely injured, even to the point of being fatal. Finally, the stone was completely cut open, and a stone ape appeared in everyone's line of sight. The stone ape sat cross-legged, and the stone sword pierced through its chest. Is he the great sage, heaven's equal? Someone asked softly. No one knew if this was the great sage, heaven's equal, because no one had seen the real great sage, heaven's equal. However, this existence was very likely to be the great sage, heaven's equal. The aura in his body was too powerful, and his vitality was too boundless. His chest had been pierced through by the stone sword, and he had been in a deep sleep for so long, yet he still had such a powerful aura and boundless vitality. How terrifying would he have been at his peak? It was simply unimaginable. Boom. Finally, someone couldn't wait any longer and wanted to attack the stone ape. It was the dark phoenix that had attacked old Mother Phoenix. He had transformed into his true form. With a sudden flap of his wings, a terrifying force gushed out and blasted towards the stone ape, intending to end the stone ape's life, right there and then. After the dark phoenix attacked, endless demonic mist churned, and the great emperor of the Sky Demon clan, Empyrean Saint, stepped out of the void. He also threw a punch at the stone ape, wanting to end its life. Everyone, you're in too much of a hurry. A cold laugh came from the void. A third expert stepped out. This time, it was the great emperor of the ancient god clan. He, too, wanted to kill the stone ape and plunder its boundless fortune. The great emperor of the ancient god clan shot out a ray of divine light, which turned into a dazzling light beam. The light beam pierced through the sky and swept towards the stone ape. After the great emperor of the ancient god clan attacked, a fourth great emperor appeared. This was the great emperor of the nine mystical great world. This great emperor also attacked the stone ape, wanting to kill it. Dao Shengfa and Dao Wuyuan quickly retreated. They had the highest chance of killing the stone ape, but they didn't choose to do so. This was because they had already obtained boundless fortune. If they killed the stone ape and stole its fortune, they would become public enemies. Therefore, the two of them chose to watch the show. Of course, they were still in a highly concentrated state. As long as the stone ape was killed, they would immediately snatch the stone sword. The stone sword's value was too extraordinary. It was enough to make anyone go crazy. And the stone sword was an ultimate treasure that they had to get. Just as the attacks of the four experts were about to hit the stone ape's body, these were four great emperors. How terrifying would their attacks be? If the stone ape didn't resist, it would definitely be killed by the four experts. Swoosh, swoosh. Suddenly, the stone ape opened its eyes. What kind of eyes were those? They were ancient and full of vicissitudes. His two eyes seemed to contain two ancient worlds within them. The moment the stone ape opened its eyes, a heaven-suppressing aura emanated from its body. The stone ape has awakened. Seeing that the stone ape had awakened, many people exclaimed. The stone ape had awakened just before it was killed. It had awakened just in time. If it had been one step later, it might have been killed. The stone ape stood up and swung its right fist, sweeping it towards the four great emperors' attacks. Bang! Following a violent collision, the four great emperors' attacks were all destroyed by the stone ape. The stone ape's dazed eyes became sharper and sharper. Swoosh! He soared into the sky, wanting to leave this place as soon as possible. You can't escape. Stay alive. We'll kill you today. Die. The four great emperors' voices were extremely cold. Waves of destructive energy were emitted from their bodies. They all took out their great emperor weapons. Then they attacked the stone ape. The great emperors used their great emperor weapons. The power released by the great emperor weapons was too strong, especially when the four great emperors used their great emperor weapons together. The attacks they unleashed were even more terrifying. The attacks from the four great emperor weapons landed on the stone ape's body and sent him flying. Seal the heavens and earth. The four great emperors' voices were indifferent. They activated their great emperor laws and completely sealed the huge square. Chapter 28:28. The four great emperors were determined to kill the stone ape. Regardless of whether the stone ape was the great sage, heaven's equal, or not, one thing was certain. The stone ape's fortune was monstrous. Moreover, the stone ape was extremely ancient. Killing the stone ape would allow them to seize the fortune that originally belonged to the stone ape. This was what everyone valued the most. As long as they could seize the stone ape's fortune, only time would tell how far the stone ape could grow in the future. Boom! Terrifying energy waves surged from the emperor weapon. The weapons of the four great emperors were extremely powerful. The great emperor of the ancient god tribe wielded the sword of the gods. The sword of the gods was surrounded by holy light and exuded a mysterious power. It was rumored that the sword of the gods was a treasure left behind by the gods of the innate era. It was not forged by the great emperor of the ancient god tribe. It was a supreme emperor weapon. It was one of the top emperor weapons, and its power was unimaginable. Now that the great emperor of the ancient god tribe had activated it, the sword of the gods revealed the gods' shadows. The shadows of the gods let out earth-shattering chants, as if they were chanting the ancient battle song of the gods. The energy waves of the sword of the gods became even more powerful and terrifying. The light of the sword of the gods illuminated the world. The dazzling sword light tore through the void and slashed toward the stone ape, trying to cut it in half. The dark phoenix took out a fire elemental emperor weapon called the blazing demonic axe. It was also a terrifying emperor weapon that the Dark Phoenix had obtained by accident. The blazing demonic axe was surrounded by fire elemental and demon elemental powers. Both powers were extremely powerful. When the fire elemental powers were activated, its power was even more shocking. The blazing demonic axe streaked across the void and slashed toward the stone ape. The celestial demon saint's weapon was a scepter called the Celestial Demon Scepter. With a gentle wave, billions of demonic light surged out. The faint sound of war drums could be heard from the demonic light. Upon closer inspection, one could see that, within the demonic light, there seemed to be billions of demonic soldiers. Wherever the demonic army passed, all living beings had to avoid them. Otherwise, death would be the only outcome. The great emperor of the Nine Mysteries' great world held a Fontion halberd. The power of this halberd was simply too tyrannical. With a light sweep, the void collapsed. The power was so strong that it was shocking. The combined attack of the four great emperors was too terrifying. Although the stone ape was abnormally strong, it was no longer as strong as before with a stone sword in its chest. Moreover, he had just woken up, and his combat strength was far from recovered. Bam! Following a violent collision sound, the stone ape was once again sent flying by the combined attacks of the four. The stone ape is no match for the four great emperors. Looks like I'm really going to be killed. No matter how strong you were in the past, you are now a hero past his prime. You can't escape the fate of death. Many people started discussing and felt that the stone ape was doomed. The glory of the past was just a thing of the past to the present. With the birth of the stone ape, its combat strength was no longer at its original level. Perhaps if the stone ape was given time to recover, it should be able to return to its previous level, but no one gave the stone ape this time. The four great emperors wanted to take advantage of the fact that the stone ape had just woken up and had yet to recover its combat strength to kill it and steal its fortune. If it's the great sage, heaven's equal, will he use the 72 transformations, 3 heads, 6 arms, and other heaven-defying abilities? What about the great sage, heaven's equal's supreme treasure, the Jingu Bang? If he doesn't use it now, when will he use it? Some cultivators were puzzled. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. He felt that although the stone ape was heaven-defying, it might not be the great sage, heaven's equal. It might be another stone ape. This feeling was very strong. Lin Feng didn't know why he had such a strong feeling, but he had always trusted his intuition. If it wasn't the great sage, heaven's equal, then who was this stone ape? It was so strong that it couldn't be unknown. Could it be the sacred battle ape? A thought suddenly appeared in Lin Feng's mind. It shocked even himself, but Lin Feng quickly rejected the idea. How could it be the sacred battle ape? Back then, the sacred battle ape's death had caused a huge uproar and even caused the monster race to suffer great losses. After such a long time, the monster race still couldn't return to their peak state. The stone ape didn't seem to want to fight to the death with the four great emperors. It tried to escape several times, but the four great emperors stopped it every time. Bang, 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 bang. The attacks of the four great emperors landed on the stone ape again and again. Crack, crack. Even a body as strong as the stone apes began to split apart. It wouldn't take long. The stone ape might be killed soon. Roar. The stone ape roared. He suddenly grabbed the stone sword that was stabbed into his chest and pulled it out. Puff. Blood spurted out. This was the stone ape's blood, which was extremely precious. It was a pity that it spilled all over the ground. The stone ape's body knelt on the ground as he panted heavily. He had lost part of the stone ape's blood to pull out the stone sword. The stone ape must have been severely injured by this attack. Kill him while he's down. The four great emperors looked at the stone ape, who was panting heavily. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. The four great emperors wielded their respective emperor weapons and attacked the stone ape. They wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to kill the stone ape. At this moment, the stone ape jumped up and waved the stone sword in its hand. The stone sword released a terrifying power in the stone ape's hand. Although the stone ape was severely injured, it still managed to push the four great emperors back with the help of the stone sword. It was a shocking scene. The four great emperors were sent flying a few hundred meters away. The stone ape soared into the sky and waved the stone sword, tearing apart the four great emperors' seal. It then quickly flew into the distance. He's already at the end of his rope. He won't be able to hold on for long. Chase. The four great emperors looked gloomy as they chased after the stone ape. Many people soared into the sky and chased after the stone ape. They wanted to watch the battle between the four great emperors and the stone ape. Maybe he can escape. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He felt that the stone ape still had some tricks up its sleeve. It was enough for him to escape. The great emperors from the ancient god clan were chasing after the stone ape. If they couldn't kill the stone ape, they would have a headache when the stone ape recovered. Lin Feng and the rest didn't chase after the stone ape. They planned to return to their residence to rest before heading to the West Sea. Lin Feng was disappointed that he didn't get the stone sword. However, it was too difficult to get the stone sword now that it was in the stone ape's hands. Chapter 28-29. Young Master Nya was a very scheming and treacherous person. He was looking for Gongzi Yu not because of familial ties, but because he wanted to personally kill his half-brother and steal Gongzi Yu's the magic lotus. Young Master Nya would never forget his hysterical reaction when he heard that Gongzi Yu was recognized as the master of the magic lotus. Young Master Nya attached great importance to bloodlines and viewed Gongzi Yu as the disgrace of his family. How could a disgrace of his family be worthy of the magic lotus? Thus, young Master Nya only wanted to find Gongzi Yu and kill Gongzi Yu. He wanted to wash away the disgrace of his family. Now, he was getting closer to his goal. Last time, he almost killed Gongzi Yu, but unfortunately, he failed at the last step. Now that he met Gongzi Yu again, young Master Nya didn't want to let Gongzi Yu escape. Gongzi Yu looked up at young Master Nya and said, "Why are you being so fake? There's no need for this at all. Who are you putting on an act for?" Young Master Nya said, "My good little brother, how can you misunderstand your big brother like this? Your big brother is doing this for your own good, yet you misunderstand your big brother like this. Father misses you very much and even sent your uncle to take you back. My good little brother, come back with big brother. This is not your home. You are only a passerby in the 9 provinces. Come home with big brother. Our whole family is waiting for your return. Come on, there's no need to put on an act here. Plus, your acting is too clumsy. I'm about to vomit from watching it." Duzu couldn't help but curl his lips and look at young Master Nya with disdain. Young Master Nya looked at Duzu indifferently and coldly said, "Lowly creatures don't have the qualifications to interrupt, so you should choose to shut your mouth at this time." Young Master Nya's arrogance came from his bones. He looked askance at others and didn't put anyone in his eyes. He always thought that others were inferior to him because of the difference in bloodline. Therefore, Gongzong Nya didn't place anyone in his eyes. Duzu curled his lips and said, "You think you're so noble, but you're just a frog in a well." Today, this young master doesn't mind killing some ignorant fools. Young Master Nya's tone was indifferent. Even in the face of Lin Feng, Gongzi Yu, Fire Qilin, and so many other experts, he was still so arrogant. He had absolute confidence in himself. This was an innate confidence that had already fused into his soul. "You can give it a try." Duzu sneered. Boom! A powerful aura emanated from Gongzong Nie's body. The aura spread out and enveloped Du Zhu. Gongzi Nie really wanted to make a move against the poison ancestor and kill him. Your opponent is me. Gongziyu's voice was cold as he stopped Gong Zini. My good little brother, do you want to fight your good big brother? It's been a while since we last fought. Let me, your good brother, see if you've made any progress recently. Young Master Nie narrowed his eyes as he looked at young Master Yu. There was an inexplicable smile on his face. That smile looked very sinister and made many people feel a chill. Gong Nie raised his right hand and was about to send a palm strike at Gongziyu when an old voice came from the distance. Young Master Nie, young Master Yu, the two of you are brothers. How can you fight in private? This will damage the relationship between brothers. An old man walked over. This was an old heavenly demon with a stooped body. He was truly too old, but no one dared to underestimate him. Nubo. Gong Nie's pupils shrank when he saw this old man. He clearly didn't expect this old man to appear here. This Nubo had served 3 generations of heavenly demon emperors. Now he was serving Gong Nie and Gongziyu's father. Although he was only a servant, no one dared to treat him as such. Even the heavenly demon emperors respected him quite a bit. Nubo rarely came out, but now that he had appeared in 9 provinces, Gong Nie had a premonition that something special was going to happen. Perhaps Nubo was here for Gongziyu? If that was the case, it would be troublesome. It would be very difficult for him to kill Gongziyu. All sorts of thoughts appeared in Gong Nie's mind. Gong Nie calmly said, Nubo, why have you come to 9 provinces? Does Lord Father have any instructions for you? Nubo said, No, it's just that I'm old and want to come out for a walk. If I don't come out for a walk, I'm afraid my old bones will be completely crippled. Nubo, you must be joking. Gong Nie said with a fake smile. Nubo said, This old servant has a few words to say to young Master Yu alone. If young Master Nie has nothing else, please leave first. Gong Nie was furious because Nubo clearly wanted to stop him from dealing with Gongziyu. Was this Nubo's idea, or was it Lord Father's idea? Gong Nie couldn't make up his mind. However, he didn't dare to go against Nubo's orders. Yes, then this junior will take his leave. Gong Nie's heart was filled with grievances as he quickly left. Nubo looked at Gongziyu and said, Young Master Yu, we haven't seen each other for many years. Nubo. Gongziyu bowed to the old man. In the past, Gongziyu was being hunted down. If it wasn't for Nubo secretly helping him, how could he have escaped time and time again? Now that he saw Nubo, he couldn't help but sigh. Let's talk somewhere else. Nubo said. Gongziyu nodded and walked to the side with Nubo. Nubo whispered something to Gongziyu. Gongziyu frowned at times and seemed to be thinking. However, what exactly were they talking about? This wasn't something that Lin Feng and the others could know. In the end, Nubo left. Gongziyu returned to Lin Feng and the others. Lin Feng didn't ask about the contents of their conversation. This was the privacy of others. No matter how close they were, it was best not to pry into each other's privacy. In the next few days, the outside world was in an uproar because a few more great emperors had appeared one after another to kill the stone ape. The stone ape failed to escape and landed in the ancient forest outside the city with injuries. Many people saw the hope of killing the stone ape. Even those quasi-emperors wanted to kill the stone ape. I wonder if the stone ape will be able to escape. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. Such a powerful existence was truly a hero at the end of his road. Suffering such a calamity was truly lamentable. The stone ape has been discovered and is now being attacked. Chapter 28:30. After Lin Feng heard about this, he went to the ancient forest outside the city with Gong Ziyu, Fire Qilin, Du Zhu, and the others to watch the battle. Lin Feng wanted to see if he had a chance to obtain the stone sword. Now that he was in control of 2 stone swords, could he use the stone sword he controlled to attract the other stone sword over? If he could do that, it would be a heaven-defying opportunity for Lin Feng. By then, he would have 3 stone swords. These stone swords hid a huge secret. The more stone swords he obtained, the stronger his combat strength would be. Therefore, Lin Feng naturally wanted to obtain more stone swords. It would be even better if he could gather all 36 stone swords one day. If he could control 36 stone swords, it would be enough to destroy the heavens and destroy the world. By then, he would kill gods and immortals. A large number of cultivators gathered around the Broken Mountain Range. There was a huge battle going on in the Broken Mountain Range. 7 great emperors were attacking the stone ape. In addition to the previous 4 great emperors, 3 more great emperors had appeared. These 3 great emperors were from the Star Moon clan, a great emperor from the Sun God clan, and a great emperor from planet Xanglan. The great emperors from the Star Moon clan and Sun God clan were the great emperors from the extraterrestrial forces and the myriad races. The great emperor of planet Xanglan was the planet lord of planet Xanglan. Planet Xanglan was an extremely huge planet with life in the extraterrestrial world. This planet had given birth to many top experts. Planet Xanglan's planet lord had broken through to the great emperor realm 1, 27 million years ago. His strength was also quite strong. The 7 great emperors each had extraordinary strength. In addition, they all had supreme treasures. The stone ape was heavily injured. Therefore, after being attacked by the 7 great emperors, the stone ape's situation was extremely bad. The battle continued in the depths, and the stone ape suffered, even though it had a stone body. Now, it was covered in injuries. The stone ape charged again and again, trying to break through the blockade. However, it was forced back by the 7 great emperors. It's useless. You will die today. The 7 great emperors sneered with killing intent. With these great emperors taking action, it seems like there's nothing left for us to do. Yes, we are destined to be just passers-by. The cultivators watching the battle frowned. With the 7 great emperors attacking, they had no chance to attack. Who would dare to fight with the great emperors for the prey? That was simply dancing on the edge of a sword. It was purely an act of seeking death. The stone ape's origins are extraordinary. In the past, it must have been a world-shaking existence. Now that it has fallen to such a state, it is truly lamentable. The fire chill inside. The stone ape tried to break out of the encirclement, but it still failed. It was forced back, and an even deeper wound appeared on its body. The stone ape's blood flowed out, and the stone ape's aura rapidly declined. Every time stone ape blood was lost, it would be a huge blow to the stone ape. Looks like he won't be able to hold on much longer. His current aura is much weaker than when he was just born. During this period of time, his injuries haven't recovered. Instead, they're getting worse. Lin Feng said, the stone ape was severely injured and could no longer hold on. Lin Feng could almost see the scene of the stone ape's death. Lin Feng lamented, what a terrifying existence in the past. Now, it had fallen to such a miserable state. It was truly lamentable. Boom! The 7 great emperors erupted, preparing an even more powerful attack. A terrifying aura filled the air. The combined aura of the 7 great emperors was simply shocking. A special magnetic field was formed within a radius of 100 miles, and no one could stand within that radius. Retreat. The surrounding cultivators turned pale and quickly fled. If they continued to stay here, they would most likely be killed. Everyone quickly left and stood 100 miles away to watch the battle. The 7 great emperors wanted to unleash their strongest attack to destroy the stone ape. Terrifying shockwaves shook the void, spreading between heaven and earth, covering all directions and shattering the universe. The attacks of the 7 great emperors grew stronger and more terrifying, causing everyone to turn pale. 7 great emperor weapons flew out. They hovered in midair, emitting endless great emperors' aura. Their aura suppressed the heavens. The 7 great emperor weapons attacked the stone ape at the same time. The stone ape floated in midair, like a small boat in the middle of a vast ocean. It could be overturned by the waves at any time. It was like a flame burning in a lamp that could be extinguished by the wind at any time. The situation in front of them was naturally extremely dangerous. Bang! The stone ape was sent flying. The stone ape's blood splattered across the sky. The stone ape's body fell to the ground. He tried to struggle, but found that his body was no longer under his control. He's not dead yet, but he can't hold on any longer. The stone ape is about to be killed. After killing the stone ape, those great emperors will probably fight for the stone sword. Yeah, the stone sword is heaven-defying. Those great emperors will definitely be eyeing it covetously. The stone ape's corpse is extremely precious. It actually gave birth to the stone ape's blood. The value of the stone ape's blood is unimaginable. The surrounding cultivators discussed. The 7 great emperors continued to attack the stone ape with their great emperor weapons. They wanted to kill the stone ape. The stone ape was about to be killed. At that moment, a powerful force descended from the sky. It was a pillar of light. It enveloped the stone ape. The 7 great emperor weapons that were attacking the stone ape were all sent flying. Bathed in the pillar of light, the stone ape's aura recovered a lot. The pillar of light trembled. The 7 great emperors' seal was instantly torn apart. The stone ape quickly rushed out. There was an expert helping the stone ape in the dark. Seeing the stone ape escape, everyone was shocked. They thought that the stone ape would definitely die today. They didn't expect that the stone ape would still be able to escape. The expert didn't show himself. No one knew who it was. After the first attack, there was no more movement. Damn it, he ruined our plan. The 7 great emperors roared. They put away their great emperor weapons and quickly chased after the stone ape. Let's go and take a look too. Many cultivators chased after the stone ape. There were many twists and turns in killing the stone ape. There was a mysterious expert who didn't want the stone ape to be killed, but they didn't know who that mysterious expert was. The stone ape's speed was very fast. It flew towards the northwest. That's the direction of the 6 divine valleys. Is the stone ape trying to escape into the 6 divine valleys? A cultivator asked. The 6 divine valleys was a land of death. Although it couldn't be compared to the land of death in the Tianwu continent, it couldn't be underestimated. There were dangers lurking everywhere. Although many people took the risk to enter the 6 divine valleys to dig for stones, they were only digging in the outer area. They didn't dare to enter. The 7 great emperors knew what the stone ape was planning. They increased their speed, wanting to kill the stone ape before it entered the 6 divine valleys. But they failed. Chapter 28:31. Lin Feng and the rest stood outside the 6 divine valleys and looked into its depths. This was the first time Lin Feng had come to the 6 divine valleys. Intense fluctuations were emitted from the 6 divine valleys. These fluctuations were extremely strange. Perhaps it was because the 6 divine valleys was a land of death. Any land of death was filled with many strange things. Why are there so many top-grade stones in the 6 divine valleys? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. He didn't know what had happened to this place in the past, but it had formed a large amount of stones. Many of these stones were difficult to find in the heavens. They were the most precious stones. Perhaps only in a place like the Six Gods Valleys could one find such precious stones. It would be very difficult to find such precious stones in other places. I heard that it has something to do with the great changes in the heavens and earth. However, it happened too long ago. Much of the history is destined to be buried by the river of time. It will be difficult to find the truth, said Princess Shuiyao. She was a princess of the demon race. Her ancestor was a great emperor that was close to becoming an immortal. She knew some secrets that others didn't. There are many lands of death in many places. I wonder if there is a connection between these lands of death. Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. He thought of the death zone of the Martial Heaven continent, the death zone of the 9 prefectures, and the death zone of the banished world. Lin Feng felt that there might be a connection between these lands of death. If that was the case, there might be some shocking secret hidden within. Princess Shuiyao said, I don't know if there is a connection. There are indeed many lands of death in many places. However, it is said that these lands of death are divided into different levels. Some of the secrets hidden in the lands of death are relatively small, while some of the secrets hidden in the lands of death are incomparably shocking. The lands of death in the Tianwu continent are the most terrifying of all. As for the specific reason, no one knows. These lands of death had mysterious origins. They had existed for a long time, and there were indeed too many secrets buried within. Now, even though the 7 great emperors had come together, they didn't dare to enter the 6 divine valleys to search for the stone ape. It was clear how powerful the 6 divine valleys were to the 7 great emperors. Naturally, the 7 great emperors couldn't be blamed for being too careful. They had to be careful. At their level of cultivation, they were extremely sensitive to danger. It was precisely because of this that they did not enter rashly. However, the 7 great emperors quickly came to an agreement and decided to enter to explore. They believed that with the 7 martial monarchs teaming up, they would be able to retreat safely even if they were in danger. Boom! The 7 great emperors emitted terrifying ripples from their bodies. Then they entered the depths of the 6 gods' valleys together. Although the rest of the cultivators wanted to go in and take a look, they didn't have the guts to do so. The depths of the 6 divinities valley was an extremely dangerous place. It was the core of the land of death. Once one entered, the slightest carelessness could lead to death. Even the 7 great emperors were so cautious, let alone the other cultivators. 7 great emperors have entered the depths of the 6 divine valleys together. I wonder what will happen. Will the stone ape be found? This time, if the stone ape is found again, I'm afraid it will be hard to escape. Right now, the 7 great emperors are still allies. Just wait and see. If you really find the stone ape, the 7 great emperors will kill the stone ape and snatch the stone sword. At that time, they will immediately turn from allies to enemies. The cultivators outside were discussing. At this time, Lin Feng was wondering if he should go in and check out the situation. If he had the mysterious metal box on his back and some of his own tricks, he would be able to enter. Lin Feng believed that even if it was the land of death, he would be able to come and go as he pleased. Just as Lin Feng was thinking about this, a terrifying ripple came from the depths of the land of death. Rumble, following that, the ground shook violently. Kacha, kacha, the veins of the ground cracked open, and a huge crack appeared. Large amounts of rocks, grass, and trees fell into the abyss. What's going on? Many people couldn't help but exclaim. They quickly soared into the sky and hovered in midair. The reason for this change was in the depths of the 6 divinities valley. No one knew what was going on. To think that there would be such a terrifying commotion. Let's go. A horrifying scream came from the depths. It was the voice of a great emperor. The 7 great emperors rushed out from the depths of the 6 divinities valley. Each of them looked panicked, as if they had seen something terrifying. With their cultivation bases, they shouldn't be acting like this. However, their expressions were indeed terrified. It was precisely because of this that people felt even more puzzled. What exactly did they see? Why were they so frightened? The 7 great emperors' hopes of escaping were doomed to fail. The black fog covered the sky and pulled the 7 great emperors back into the abyss. Ah, a blood-curdling scream was heard. No one knew which great emperor had met with a calamity. What's going on? The cultivators outside were dumbfounded. They didn't understand what was going on. With the strength of the 7 great emperors, what could possibly harm them? Wasn't the land of death a little too terrifying? More blood-curdling screams were heard. That kind of miserable shriek was extremely mournful. It was simply tragic beyond compare, causing people to feel a kind of hair-raising feeling. Don't tell me all 7 great emperors have died in there. A cultivator asked with a trembling voice. Swoosh! Finally, for blood-stained figures rushed out. They were the great emperors of the ancient god race, the great emperor of the sky demon race, the master of the azure star, and the dark phoenix. The remaining 3 great emperors, the great emperor of the 9 mystical world, the great emperor of the star-moon race, and the great emperor of the sun-god race, had died in the depths of the 6 divinities valley. The 4 great emperors who had escaped were severely injured. The great emperor of the ancient god race had almost been cut in half. The great emperor of the sky demon race had even been beheaded. The great emperor of the sky demon race had escaped with the head in his hand. One of the master of the azure star's arms had been torn off. The dark phoenix's chest had been pierced through. He was severely injured. If he wasn't a cultivator of the phoenix race, he would have died as well. It was hard to imagine what the 7 great emperors had gone through to have suffered such heavy casualties. We can't stay here for long. Let's go, Lin Feng said. He felt that the 6 divinities valley was too strange. They should leave as soon as possible. The group nodded and left the 6 divinities valley without stopping. 3 days later, in the West Sea, there was a change in the ancient kingdom of chaos. A chaos ancient bell appeared. The sound of the bell rang out from the ancient kingdom of chaos, shaking the heaven and earth. Chapter 28:32. The vast West Sea had been filled with many mysteries since ancient times. Because this place was close to the area ruled by Buddhism, cultivators rarely came here. Of course, there were many experts in the West Sea, and Buddhist monks often walked around the West Sea. This was a place that no one could underestimate. Whoever dared to underestimate the West Sea would be punished. The distribution of forces in the West Sea was rather complicated. There were many immortal islands, and it was said that there was also a dragon palace. Of course, there was also the sea race. In addition, there were also some powerful bandit groups. These bandit groups were extremely rampant. Therefore, the West Sea formed the so-called Pirate Alliance. There were rumors that the reason why the West Sea Island Alliance was so rampant was because the leader of the Pirate Alliance was a monk in the past. This monk was not a simple figure. He had an extraordinary status in Buddhism back then. It was said that he was the proud disciple of the 9 prefectures' Buddhist master. However, this person had evil intentions and stole the tantric scriptures of Buddhism. Therefore, he was expelled from Buddhism. However, his master still let him go because of their old relationship. The West Sea was one of the regions that had been relatively well preserved over the years. Although there were cultivators from the myriad races, extraterrestrial races, and other external forces who had arrived at the West Sea long ago. However, there were many monks in the West Sea. In addition, Buddhism's influence extended to the West Sea. Therefore, over the years, the myriad races, extraterrestrial races, and other external forces did not do anything excessive in the West Sea. Therefore, the West Sea had been relatively peaceful. Now, because of the primal chaos ancient nation, a large number of cultivators flocked to the West Sea. The Xianyuan ancient spaceship flew above the sea. Linfeng, Du Zhu, Gongziyu, Fire Qilin, Princess Shuiyao, Little Rock King, and others were all on the Xianyuan ancient spaceship. Because Buddhism's territory spanned across a large territory in the western part of the 9 prefectures, no one could use the teleportation array to cross the Buddhism's territory. They first took the teleportation array to the North Sea region, then took the Xianyuan ancient spaceship to the West Sea from the North Sea region. The rest of the people also took a detour. Everyone tried their best to avoid Buddhism's territory. In the room, Lin Feng sat cross-legged and took out a chaos stone. This chaos stone was something Lin Feng obtained a long time ago. However, he was not able to comprehend the secrets of the chaos stone. The only thing Lin Feng knew was that this chaos stone seemed to be related to the primordial Lord of Heaven. When Lin Feng's spiritual force entered the chaos stone, a mysterious voice resounded in Lin Feng's mind. Primal chaos, ancient country, innate world, burial ground of immortals. This was not the first time Lin Feng had gained insight into the chaos stone. Therefore, he had heard this sentence many times. Every time he heard this sentence, he would have a special feeling. The information contained in this sentence was too shocking. However, Lin Feng didn't know if the primal chaos ancient nation mentioned in the primal chaos stone was the same primal chaos ancient nation as the one in the West Sea world. If they were in the same primal chaos ancient country, then it would be too shocking. Maybe the secrets of the primal chaos gems could be unraveled there. Lin Feng hoped that he could unravel the secrets of the chaos stone. This chaos stone definitely hid a huge secret. As long as he could unravel the secrets of the chaos stone, he would be able to unravel them. At that time, he might be able to obtain great benefits. This was also something that Lin Feng valued. Above the sea, powerful forces were rushing towards the primal chaos ancient nation. Myriad races, extraterrestrial races, and other external forces. In addition to these forces, there was also a cloud of black fog rolling above the sea. These were the creatures of the black fog. After they heard the news, they also rushed to the primal chaos ancient nation to search for opportunities. As creatures of the previous era, the creatures of the black fog were once extremely powerful. However, they were no longer in the era where they could roam freely. Now, their combat strength was sharply reduced. They needed to find powerful opportunities to recover their strength. There were more than a dozen creatures of the black fog, and all of them were on the move this time. The extraterrestrial creatures also quickly rushed to the primal chaos ancient nation. The extraterrestrial creatures had recovered their strength very quickly in the past few years. Although they were still far from their peak state, they were many times stronger than they were a few years ago. The Stone Puppet King was also rushing to the primal chaos ancient nation. He was the king of the Stone Clan, and his cultivation was unimaginably terrifying. Even the Azure Emperor was cultivating with the Stone Puppet King. In addition to the Qing Emperor, the Little Stone King was also cultivating with the Stone Puppet King. This time, the Stone Puppet King brought the Qing Emperor and the Little Stone King to the primal chaos ancient nation. Clearly, he wanted to take care of his 2 juniors. The Little Stone King was now dressed in white, and he was extraordinarily handsome. However, there was a haughty expression on his face that made him look unruly. Back when the Little Stone King was still sealed in the stone, his methods were extremely shocking. Later, he was suppressed by Lin Feng for a period of time. Of course, the 2 of them reached an agreement, and Lin Feng let him go. The Little Stone King's cultivation had now reached an extremely high level. More and more experts gathered in the West Sea world, so now the West Sea world was extremely lively. However, there were all kinds of people mixed in. Once the number of people increased, there would often be a lot of trouble. During this period, the West Sea world was not calm. Battles broke out from time to time, and there were even emperor battles. After more than 2 months, Lin Feng and the others finally saw the primal chaos ancient nation. It was a huge country shrouded in primal chaos mist. Looking from afar, the ancient nation seemed endless. There were ancient cities, dense forests, huge mountains, and crisscrossing abysses in the country. It was the landscape of a country, vast, majestic, ancient, and grand. It was filled with the heaviness and weight of history. Is it here? The burial ground of the immortals? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. The demon lord said, "Maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. We need to go inside and explore." 3 days later, the ancient starship Xianyuan arrived at the outskirts of the primal chaos ancient nation. There were cultivators everywhere. They wanted to enter the primal chaos ancient nation, but there was no way to do so. I heard that some people have already entered. At this time, the news spread and caused a huge commotion. It was not that no one had entered the primal chaos ancient nation. In fact, some people had already entered in advance, but very few people had entered. How did those people enter? Many cultivators asked anxiously. They wanted to find out how to enter the primal chaos ancient nation. They couldn't wait to enter. I don't know. If I knew, would I still be here? I would have entered long ago, the cultivator who spread the news said. Lin Feng and the others walked down from the ancient starship Xianyuan. They hadn't seen the Great Peng King and the Peacock King for many years. They missed them. Lin Feng asked, "Didn't you say that the Great Peng King and the Peacock King are here? Can we contact them?" Chapter 28:33. Why can't we contact the Great Peng King? The Fire Qilin asked curiously. Lin Feng said, "Could it be that the Great Peng King has already entered the ancient kingdom of primal chaos? Is that why we can't contact him?" When everyone heard this, they felt that this was indeed a possibility. The ancient kingdom of primal chaos was very special. Once one entered, they might be able to isolate themselves from the outside world. Therefore, if the Great Peng King had entered the ancient kingdom of primal chaos, they might not be able to contact him from the outside world. "Let's try contacting the Peacock King," Lin Feng said. Princess Shui Yao attempted to contact Peacock King. She also communicated with Peacock King through a communication jade charm, but she quickly shook her head. She also failed to contact the Peacock King. There's a high chance that they've entered the ancient kingdom of primal chaos. It seems like the Peacock King and the Great Peng King are about to take that crucial step. The Fire Qilin said, "Back in the Tianwu continent, the Great Peng King and the Peacock King stood at the peak. They were once the peerless geniuses of the monster race, the hope of reviving the monster race of the Tianwu continent. After coming to the 9 prefectures, their talents were fully displayed. Coupled with the awakening of their bloodline, their cultivation rose rapidly. According to the Fire Qilin, the Great Peng King and the Peacock King had entered the monster race's sacred ground to cultivate. That sacred ground could change the flow of time. A year in the outside world was equivalent to many years in the sacred ground. Therefore, the sacred ground played a crucial role in the Great Peng King and the Peacock King's cultivation. The Fire Qilin had always wanted to enter the sacred ground to cultivate, but he never got the chance. Now, the Great Peng King and the Peacock King were about to undergo the final transformation. One more step, and they would become great emperors. Lin Feng had already known about this before coming to the ancient kingdom of primal chaos. He knew about this very well, so Lin Feng was not too surprised. If the Great Pung King and the Peacock King can break through to the Great Emperor realm, it'll be a blessing for the 9 prefectures. Lin Feng said, "That's right." Everyone nodded. A large group of cultivators flew over from afar. They were all cultivators from the myriad races. Lin Feng could sense several cold gazes locking onto him. Many of the cultivators from the myriad races wanted to kill Lin Feng. Lin Feng couldn't help but sneer, his heart filled with coldness. He and the myriad races definitely had an irreconcilable relationship. Right now, the cultivators of the myriad races wanted to kill Lin Feng so badly. However, they didn't have the chance to kill Lin Feng yet. Lin Feng saw young Master Nia. Young Master Nia had a very high status among the myriad races. Firstly, Gong Zhongnie's background was extraordinary. Secondly, Gong Zhongnie's combat strength was astonishing. Young Master Nia's charisma was really strong. Therefore, many cultivators of the myriad races were willing to follow young Master Nia. Young Master Nia looked indifferently at Gong Ziyu and said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, "I really didn't expect my good little brother to come out and protect you. It looks like you're not without a backer in the Sky Devil race. But do you think it's enough with me protecting you? Your filthy and lowly bloodline is the greatest calamity. It's fated that you won't be able to obtain an important position in the race." Perhaps young Master Nia had been provoked by something, but he no longer concealed his hostility toward Gong Ziyu. Gong Ziyu's expression turned extremely ugly. Just as he was about to say something, Lin Feng patted Gong Ziyu's shoulder and said, "If a dog bites you, are you going to bite back?" "Ha ha, well said. I have to give you a big thumbs up, little Feng." The Fire Qilin laughed loudly. The others followed suit and laughed heartily. Gong Ziyu was usually calm and patient. He wouldn't easily reveal his emotions. However, this time, Gong Ziyu also smiled. "Brat, you dare insult me?" Young Master Nia gloomily looked at Lin Feng, his eyes flashing with killing intent. "So what if I insult you? You want to fight? Who's afraid of you? Let's see who will win." Lin Feng sneered. He had long since lost his patience with young Master Nia. "Then this young master will personally kill you today." Young Master Nia's voice was cold. He began to circulate his magic power, seemingly wanting to attack Lin Feng. At this time, a myriad race cultivator beside young Master Nia said, "Young Master Nia, this isn't a place to fight. There are experts everywhere. Who knows how many people are eyeing us covetously? If you fight here, they might take advantage of the situation. It will be very troublesome then." Young Master Nia couldn't help but raise his brows. He nodded and coldly looked at Lin Feng. "I'll let you jump around for a while longer. Pray that you don't see me in the ancient kingdom of primal chaos. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die without a grave." Likewise, Lin Feng sneered. Young Master Nia's group quickly left. However, there were still many gazes looking at Lin Feng's group. Some had kind gazes, while others had hostile gazes. Lin Feng directly ignored them. "We need to think of a way to get rid of this guy. Otherwise, he'll definitely be a big problem," said the Fire Qilin. He could sense how terrifying young Master Nia was. Gong Ziyu said, "Young Master Nia is far more terrifying than we imagined. If we encounter him alone, it's best not to clash with him. Instead, we should quickly leave him." Gong Ziyu had almost been killed by young Master Nia earlier. Thus, Gong Ziyu knew how terrifying young Master Nia was. That was why he was advising everyone. Day after day passed. Many people were looking for a way to enter the ancient kingdom of primal chaos. At the end of the day, a primal chaos bell suddenly flew out from the depths of the ancient kingdom of primal chaos. The bell hovered in the periphery of the ancient kingdom of primal chaos. Dang, 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 dang. The sound of the bell reverberated throughout the world, shaking the clouds. Many people were shaken when they saw the bell. It was definitely an immortal bell. Is that the legendary primal chaos bell? Is that the #1 bell in the world that primeval heavenly lord forged using primal chaos stones? The fire Chelan's voice trembled slightly. Back then, primeval heavenly lord had obtained a complete primal chaos stone and used it to forge the #1 bell in the world. That ancient bell was the famous primal chaos bell. There were too many legends about the primal chaos bell. It was like a myth. Countless people were searching for this supreme treasure. And now, this supreme treasure had appeared in the ancient kingdom of primal chaos. Even the primal chaos bell has appeared here. Could this really be the burial ground of immortals? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter inwardly. Chapter 28:34. The chaos gem emanated waves of energy. The waves weren't strong, but Lin Feng could clearly sense them. The primal chaos stone hadn't moved until the primal chaos bell appeared. Lin Feng didn't understand why the primal chaos stone had moved so quickly. Why was the chaos gem emitting such waves? Was it because of the ancient chaos bell? If it was because of the chaos ancient bell, then it would have changed. Did that mean there was a special connection between the chaos gem and the ancient chaos bell? The ancient chaos bell is an immortal artifact. What about the people who entered the ancient chaos nation? Why didn't they try to collect it? A cultivator asked. Collect the ancient chaos bell? Do you think it's that easy to collect it? The ancient chaos bell is a heaven-defying supreme treasure. Who knows how terrifying its power is? Do you think it's something that can be collected so easily? If you're not strong enough, you'll only end up dead if you try to collect the chaos ancient bell. Moreover, those who entered the chaos ancient nation are probably searching for opportunities in the deeper regions. Now that the chaos ancient bell is in the outer regions, they'll weigh the pros and cons and won't try to collect it. That's right. They might not be able to collect the ancient chaos bell even if they come. They might even lose their lives. So they might as well go look for opportunities. Some of the cultivators began to whisper to each other. The ancient chaos bell quickly disappeared without a trace, flying to another location. When the primal chaos bell disappeared, Lin Feng's primal chaos stone calmed down. Is the chaos gem's change really related to the ancient chaos bell? Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder. It was the same as his previous guess. Just what kind of connection is there? Lin Feng fell into deep thought. He wanted to enter the ancient chaos nation. It would be best if he could find the ancient chaos bell there. Lin Feng believed that if he could find the ancient chaos bell, he might be able to solve the riddle in his heart. More people have entered the ancient chaos nation. Then, shocking news began to spread. A group of cultivators had entered the ancient chaos nation. At that time, the chaos ancient bell rang, and chaos holy light shone down. Those people were bathed in the holy light and entered the chaos ancient country. The cultivator who saw this said, excitedly, that holy light must be the key to entering the primal chaos ancient nation. This news spread like wildfire in the outer regions of the primal chaos ancient country. The primal chaos holy light will only appear when the primal chaos ancient bell appears. The fire Chelan said. Then we can only wait. Duzu said. Everyone continued to wait for the chaos ancient bell to appear. 3 days later, the bell appeared again. The chimes of the chaos ancient bell contained the sound of the Tao. Whoosh! The chaos ancient bell sprinkled down a large amount of holy light. Many cultivators quickly rushed towards the sacred light and entered the sacred light. However, they were unable to enter the primal chaos ancient nation. Fire Qilin shouted, F***CK, what's going on? Isn't the holy light the key to entering the chaos ancient nation? Lin Feng frowned and said, we underestimated the situation. It seems like the holy light isn't the key to entering the primal chaos ancient nation. Many cultivators wailed, feeling depressed. They wanted to enter the primal chaos ancient nation, but in the end, this was the result. We need to find another way. Lin Feng said, and flew into the distance. Gongziyu said, although the chaos holy light isn't the key, the way to enter the primal chaos ancient nation is definitely related to the chaos ancient bell. That's right. There must be a special relationship between the bell and the bell. It's just that we haven't discovered the secret yet. Duzu said. Princess Shuiyao said, could it be the sound? Hearing Princess Shuiyao's words, everyone's eyes lit up. It was very likely that the bell had something to do with the sound. Every time the chaos ancient bell appeared, it would emit a majestic chime. Thus, the chime played an extremely important role in the primal chaos ancient nation. The next time the chaos ancient bell appears, let's try to sense its chimes and see if there's anything special about it. Lin Feng said. The others nodded. They couldn't help but look forward to it. If their guess was correct, they might be able to find a way to enter the primal chaos ancient nation. Currently, the number of cultivators entering the primal chaos ancient nation was extremely small. Thus, if they could enter now, they might be able to obtain many great opportunities. If the primal chaos ancient nation truly appeared in the future, there would be many more cultivators entering it. At that time, it would be difficult to obtain great opportunities within the primal chaos ancient nation. With so many cultivators, the opportunities might belong to others. Another 3 days passed, and the chaos ancient bell appeared once again. Dong, dong, dong. The bell's chimes resounded throughout the world. Lin Feng and the others carefully sensed the chimes. However, Lin Feng couldn't find anything special. He held the chaos stone in his hand and used it as a medium to try to sense what was special about the chimes. However, the same thing happened this time. Lin Feng still couldn't find anything special. I can sense it. At that moment, Little Pung King suddenly exclaimed. Everyone was startled awake and looked at Little Pung King. Little Pung King waved his hand, and a golden light surged out and enveloped Lin Feng and the others. Then Lin Feng and the others disappeared. Another group of people disappeared. The surrounding cultivators cried out in alarm. Sound, I know. It's sound. Every time the chaos ancient bell appears, there will be a chime. If someone enters the primal chaos ancient nation at that time, they must have sensed the chimes and entered the primal chaos ancient nation. A cultivator suddenly said, Sound. Many people were shocked. They waited for the chaos ancient bell to appear again and carefully sense it. A gentle force enveloped Lin Feng and the others and pulled them into another world. It was the world of the primal chaos ancient nation. They were passing through the distorted space outside the primal chaos ancient nation. They were constantly approaching the primal chaos ancient nation. Just as they were about to enter the primal chaos ancient nation, the power of space-time suddenly enveloped Lin Feng and the others. The power of space-time was so strong that it directly moved Lin Feng and the others to different places. Many secret planes were like this. Cultivators who entered together would be separated. Perhaps the expert who created the secret plane didn't want them to stay together. Instead, he wanted them to rely on their own methods to find their own opportunities. Whoosh! There was a flash of light. In the next moment, Lin Feng found himself in a deep water world. This should be a huge abyss. The water was extremely cold. Whoosh, whoosh. Chapter 28:35. Those huge eyes flickered with a cold light, causing people to feel a sense of fear. What the hell is this? Lin Feng was stupefied. He quickly flew up. He cultivated the great water elemental art of the great 5 elements. Therefore, there was no difference between being in the water and being outside. Roar! Suddenly, a deep roar was heard. The terrifying creature opened its bloody mouth and tried to swallow Lin Feng. At that moment, Lin Feng saw what it was. The creature in front of him was actually a terrifying creature that looked like a crocodile. Its body was about 300 to 400 meters long, but it had a pair of huge wings. There was a horn on its forehead. It looked like a dragon horn. The creature's aura was so terrifying that it made Lin Feng's hair stand on end. The moment the creature opened its bloody mouth, Lin Feng quickly dodged and successfully avoided being swallowed by the terrifying creature. He was not in the mood to continue fighting with the creature. Lin Feng quickly flew up. However, the terrifying creature chased after him and rushed out of the water behind Lin Feng. It spat out energy balls one after another from its ferocious mouth. Those energy balls were all aimed at Lin Feng, wanting to smash Lin Feng to death. Lin Feng's body flickered, and he dodged the ball of energy released by the terrifying creature. His face gradually turned cold. Lin Feng took the initiative to charge at the monster and threw a punch at its head. With a loud bang, the monster was sent flying by Lin Feng's punch. With a splash, its huge body fell into the water. After taking Lin Feng's powerful attack, the monster knew Lin Feng's strength and did not dare to provoke Lin Feng again. Lin Feng quickly flew into the distance. He was now in a lake. The lake was rippling with blue waves and was very large. After flying for a short while, there was a violent fluctuation in front of him. Not long after, Lin Feng saw a ball of cursed light flying toward him. Within the ball of cursed light, there was a tiny puppet floating. Cursed doll. Lin Feng was stupefied. He hadn't thought he would run into the cursed baby. That bastard. After seeing Lin Feng, the cursed doll naturally did not have anything nice to say. It called out in a strange tone, "Oh, it's you. Long time no see. You're not dead yet." In the distance, there was a bloody mist rolling. There seemed to be some terrifying creature entrenched in the bloody mist. It was obvious that the cursed doll was being chased by the bloody mist. Lin Feng turned and ran. The cursed doll, that bastard, must have been attacked by the bloody mist. That was why it was in such a sorry state. "Don't run. We're old acquaintances, old friends," the cursed doll shouted and quickly chased after Lin Feng. Lin Feng could not help but roll his eyes. He was speechless as he said, "Who's old friend with you? Don't flatter yourself. I'm not familiar with you. Don't follow me. Otherwise, I'll smash you into pieces." The cursed doll said, "You really hurt me. I treated you as my best friend, but you treat me like this. Your young heart must have received 100,000 critical hits today." Lin Feng did not believe a single word the cursed doll said. The cursed doll was vicious. It was good at scheming. It was better to believe a ghost than a ghost. Therefore, Lin Feng did not believe a single word the cursed doll said. If he did, he would probably be counting the money for the cursed doll even if he died from the cursed doll's scheme. However, the cursed doll did not leave. It did not take Lin Feng's words to heart and continued to follow Lin Feng. Lin Feng slapped the cursed doll with a backhand. Whoosh! The cursed doll's movements were extremely agile. Like a bolt of lightning, it dodged the attack in an instant. It shouted, "Kid, it's a swarm of blood jade bugs chasing after us. This swarm of bugs is famous and extremely terrifying. If we don't leave now, neither of us will be able to escape when the time comes." After hearing the words "swarm of blood jade bugs," Lin Feng's face sank. It was actually a poisonous bug. It was indeed an extremely terrifying poisonous bug. Whenever cultivators saw this type of poisonous bug, they would quickly retreat. This was because the blood jade bugs were not only poisonous, but they also had an extremely terrifying ability, which was to seal a cultivator's magic power. Once a cultivator's magic power was sealed, it would be a disaster for them. Many cultivators might have a way to deal with the blood jade bug's poison, but they definitely could not deal with the blood jade bug's forbidden technique. Poison and forbidden technique. The blood jade bugs were almost invincible. Wherever they went, there would be a bloodbath. No one could fight against the blood jade bugs. They had to quickly leave the swarm. Once they were surrounded, only death would await them. Lin Feng knew how terrifying the blood jade bugs were, so he did not continue to be entangled with the cursed doll. You go your way, and I'll go mine. We'll mind our own business. Don't provoke me, or you'll suffer. Lin Feng glared at the cursed doll fiercely and threatened. However, the cursed doll clearly did not care about Lin Feng's threat. The cursed doll laughed and said, "We should enjoy blessings and go through hardships together now. This is a good brother who goes through life and death together." Lin Feng rolled his eyes. How could this guy be so shameless? It gave Lin Feng the urge to punch this guy to death. Lin Feng could not be bothered with the cursed doll. He quickly flew into the distance at an extremely fast speed. The cursed doll's speed was not slow at all. Although it was just a puppet doll, it was extremely heaven-defying. Its speed was as fast as lightning, and it followed closely behind Lin Feng. In the end, Lin Feng and the cursed doll got rid of the blood jade bugs. Boom! Lin Feng exploded and charged towards the cursed doll. The cursed doll had mastered many secret techniques. Lin Feng did not mind suppressing it again and forcing it to reveal all its secrets. "Cursed true God! Cursed true God!" The cursed doll shouted. The power of the curse surged out. Within the power of the curse, an ancient god appeared. It was a cursed true god, exuding an evil aura. Bang! The cursed true god and Lin Feng engaged in a fierce battle. Both sides fought for dozens of rounds, but there was no clear winner. The cursed doll's cultivation had recovered extremely quickly over the years. Therefore, it was very difficult for Lin Feng to defeat the cursed doll. Chapter 28:36. A loud noise came from the depths of the abyss, alarming both Lin Feng and the cursed doll. It was difficult to determine a victor between the two of them, so they did not continue fighting. Instead, they both looked towards the depths of the abyss. They had a feeling that there might be some kind of opportunity there. The two of them were very careful because the closer they got to the area, the more dangerous the aura became. Not long after, they saw a huge abyss. This was the abyss after the earth split open. Intense fluctuations came from the abyss. An immortal light surged out from it. Could it be the immortal Tao origin? When Lin Feng saw the celestial lights, he was astonished. The celestial lights contained pure strength. And now, the pure energy was able to make Lin Feng's magic power circulate by itself. This was too extraordinary. If it was not the purest immortal Tao origin, it would not be able to achieve this. "There must be something good down there," said the cursed doll. Then it quickly rushed down. Lin Feng also rushed down the abyss. This abyss was extremely deep. The deeper they went, the colder it became. There was a gloomy and terrifying aura in the air, making Lin Feng's hair stand on end. The abyss was emitting an aura that made one's heart palpitate. Therefore, Lin Feng was very careful. He did not want to lose his life here before he could get any opportunity. That would be too unlucky. Look, a pool. An immortal pool. The cursed doll pointed towards the depths of the abyss and shouted excitedly. There was a pool in the depths of the abyss. The pool was shrouded in immortal light, emitting waves of shocking fluctuations. Pure energy was surging out from the pool. Lin Feng was shocked. There was actually an immortal pool here. It was really unbelievable. He did not know what was in the immortal pool. He quickly rushed over. Before he reached the immortal pool, Lin Feng saw the immortal liquid in the immortal pool. It was the immortal elixir formed after the immortal Tao origin was condensed. It was truly extraordinary. After seeing the immortal elixir, Lin Feng's face lit up with excitement. If he could obtain the immortal elixir, his cultivation base would improve by leaps and bounds. Thinking of this, Lin Feng's face lit up with joy. However, before he and the cursed doll could reach the celestial pool, something happened. In the depths, the stone fog was rolling. A stone cow rushed out and stood beside the celestial pond. Its cold eyes stared at Lin Feng and the cursed doll. The quality of the first batch of cultivators isn't bad, although there are fewer people. A second terrifying existence walked out from the chilling wind. It was a skeletal cultivator with a bone saber in its hand. He could speak like a normal person, and 2 balls of willow, the wisps, danced in his eye sockets. This was a terrifying creature, abnormally powerful and terrifying. It's understandable that there are fewer people in the first batch. It's just an appetizer. The third creature appeared and split open the void. It was a white snake that was more than a meter long. It stood upright, and its eyes were cold and terrifying. This was definitely a terrifying existence. Although its body wasn't big, its battle strength was heaven-defying. This place was a dangerous place set up by the 3 terrifying creatures. It was specially designed to lure cultivators into this place. Then, they would kill the cultivators who entered this place and devour their flesh and soul essence. The 3 creatures were good at scheming. In addition to their powerful cultivations, they were indeed able to scheme against many people. Lin Feng and the cursed doll were the first batch of living beings to be schemed against by them. Lin Feng said, "I didn't expect that after always hunting geese, I would be pecked in the eye today. However, it won't be easy for the 3 of you to keep the 2 of us here. Brat, you're too arrogant. Even if you have some cultivation, the 3 of us still don't put you in our eyes." The stone cow sneered and said with extreme confidence. Although he hadn't truly stepped into the Emperor realm, he had been at the peak of the quasi-Emperor realm for too many years. He had accumulated so much power that he didn't fear anyone. In addition, the skeleton and the white snake were also very strong. Naturally, the stone cow was very confident that he could kill Lin Feng and the cursed doll. "Attack!" Lin Feng shouted. He used the 1 chi into 3 pure ones technique. He split into 3 and charged at one of the creatures. "You're courting death." The 3 creatures' voices were extremely cold. They instantly attacked Lin Feng. At this time, the cursed doll also attacked. That lowly creature dares to blaspheme the great path of curses. May the path of curses descend and use the power of curses to punish these lowly creatures. The cursed doll recited an incantation and used the great curse technique to deal with the 3 creatures. Lin Feng had learned the great curse technique from the cursed doll. Naturally, the cursed doll's use of the great curse technique was not something that Lin Feng could compare to. This was called specialization. Just from the name alone, one could tell how profound the cursed doll's mastery of the great curse technique was. Lin Feng's 1 chi into 3 pure ones was extremely powerful. Moreover, the cursed doll was using the great curse technique to support him. Therefore, Lin Feng was able to block the attacks for a short period of time. "Bibi, it's your turn." Lin Feng hurriedly transmitted his voice to Bibi. The little girl had been cultivating in the mountain river ring. This period of time was also a crucial period for Bibi's cultivation. Therefore, Bibi was not very active. Now that she heard Lin Feng's call, she immediately disappeared from the mountain river ring and appeared next to the celestial pond. When Bibi was just born, she already had the ability to travel through the void. Therefore, Bibi's ability was extremely heaven-defying. Now that Bibi had been born for so many years, her various abilities had been greatly improved. This was especially true for her ability to travel through the void. She could now do it as if she was teleporting. Yeah, yeah. When Bibi saw the celestial liquid in the celestial pond, she immediately shouted excitedly. The celestial liquid was obviously very beneficial to her. When the stone cow, skeleton, and white snake saw the sudden appearance of Bibi, they were instantly enraged. They turned around and attacked Bibi. Bibi waved her claws and shot out a rainbow-colored celestial light that engulfed all the celestial liquid. Whoosh! She teleported and disappeared from the spot. In the next moment, she appeared next to Lin Feng. The stone cow, skeleton, and white snake's attacks all missed. Lin Feng sent Bibi back into the mountain river ring. Then, he quickly rushed outside with the cursed doll. He had just joined forces with the cursed doll to fight the stone cow, skeleton, and white snake. It was very difficult. They could not last more than a few rounds. Therefore, there was no need for them to continue fighting with these three terrifying creatures. Moreover, they had already obtained the celestial liquid. The most important thing now was to find a place to refine the celestial liquid. You can't escape. I'm going to kill you all. You all deserve to die. Chapter 28:37. Lin Feng and the cursed doll arrived in the forest. After choosing a direction, they sped up and flew in that direction. Moo! The bull's roar reverberated through heaven and earth, carrying endless anger and murderous intent. The stone bull quickly rushed out and chased after them. Next to the stone bull were the skeleton and the white snake. They were also filled with endless murderous intent, wanting to kill Lin Feng and the cursed doll. The immortal liquid was very precious. They used it as bait to lure others over. Now, the immortal liquid was snatched away by Lin Feng and the cursed doll. This made the stone bull, skeleton, and white snake extremely angry. Their hatred was overwhelming. Now, they only wanted to cut Lin Feng, the cursed doll, and Bibi into pieces to vent their anger. However, it was not easy for them to catch up to Lin Feng and the cursed doll. This was because Lin Feng was best at speed, and the cursed doll was unbelievably fast. In the end, the stone bull, skeleton, and white snake lost sight of Lin Feng and the cursed doll. The three terrifying creatures roared angrily and wantonly destroyed the surrounding forest to vent their anger. In a hidden cave, Lin Feng took out the immortal liquid that Bibi had obtained. Bibi had already tasted a lot of immortal liquid. Now that she was sleeping, she needed sleep to help her body digest the energy contained in the immortal liquid. The dragon rabbit also ate some immortal liquid and fell into a deep sleep. Lin Feng divided the remaining immortal liquid into two parts. One part belonged to him, and the other to the cursed doll. Although he had fought with the cursed doll earlier, the world of cultivators was so realistic. There were no eternal enemies or friends. There were only eternal benefits. Now, Lin Feng and the cursed doll were in an alliance. Wah wah wah! With this immortal liquid, my cultivation level can increase again. The cursed doll shouted excitedly and swallowed the immortal liquid. Then it occupied a corner of the cave and began to refine the immortal liquid. Lin Feng also began to refine the immortal liquid. He was now at the 7th tier of the giant god realm. He wondered if the immortal liquid could increase his cultivation level by 1 or 2 tiers. In fact, Lin Feng did not have much immortal liquid. The immortal pool was not small. However, there was not much immortal liquid in the pool. In addition, Lin Feng did not have much immortal liquid. The dragon rabbit refined a portion and gave the cursed doll some. The Archean dragonesque elephant art was activated. Lin Feng gradually refined the immortal liquid into pure energy, and the pure energy was absorbed by Lin Feng's body. After devouring the pure energy's cultivation level, Lin Feng's cultivation level. 3 days later, Lin Feng had successfully broken through to the 8th gigantic god layer from the 7th gigantic god layer. After the breakthrough, Lin Feng's face, BB, Giant God Realm 9th tier, Giant God Realm 10th tier. 2 more realms to reach the peak of the Giant God Realm. At that time, after settling down for a period of time, he could try to break through to the Quasi-Emperor realm. Once he broke through to the Quasi-Emperor realm, there would be an earth-shaking change in his cultivation. Of course, Lin Feng also knew that with his savings, it would not be easy to break through to the Quasi-Emperor realm. He needed a heaven-defying opportunity to help him break through. Without such an opportunity, it would be as difficult as ascending to heaven to break through. After the breakthrough, there was still some immortal liquid left. The effect of the immortal liquid was much better than Lin Feng imagined. It was a pity that the amount was too little. Lin Feng did not continue to refine the remaining immortal liquid, because even if he refined it, it would not increase his cultivation level. He planned to use the immortal liquid to cultivate the Archean ancestral insect, Emperor Archaic Egg, and the great desolate demon refining insect queen. Lin Feng first fed the Archean ancestral insect larva a portion of the immortal liquid. After the larva swallowed the immortal liquid, it emitted waves of excitement. The Archean ancestral insect larva was still too young and fell into a deep sleep after swallowing the immortal liquid. Next, Lin Feng dripped another portion of the immortal liquid onto the Emperor Archaic Egg. The cracks on the surface of the Emperor Archaic Egg were becoming more and more obvious. Seeing those cracks, Lin Feng's face was full of joy, because the more obvious the cracks were, the time for the Emperor Archaic Egg to hatch was getting closer and closer. Once the Emperor Archaic hatched, it would spread its wings and spread its wings. The heavens would collapse. Such power and prestige. How shocking would that be? Lin Feng fed the last portion of the immortal liquid to the great desolate demon refining insect queen. Now, the great desolate demon refining insect queen had already begun to lay eggs. This was the first stage of cultivating the great desolate demon refining insect queen. Laying eggs, hatching, larva, adult, and swarm. Once the swarm of great desolate demon refining insect queen was successfully cultivated, it would be extremely terrifying. It would be equivalent to having an army that he could carry around with him. Wherever he went, he would be invincible. Ha 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 ha, not bad, not bad. The immortal liquid is too effective. At this moment, the cursed doll woke up. Clearly, it had obtained many benefits as well, so it was laughing excitedly. The cursed doll then looked at Lin Feng and said, "If we work together, it'll be like 2 swords working together. Why don't we continue working together?" The cursed doll's methods were extraordinary, so it was naturally good to have it by his side. Of course, the prerequisite was that the cursed doll did not have any ulterior motives. Lin Feng said indifferently, "Why should I believe you? Hee, if I lie to you, I'll never be able to form a body of flesh in the future. You should believe me now, right?" The cursed doll said. Lin Feng raised an eyebrow. "Fine, I'll believe you this once." The ancient kingdom of chaos was very restless at night. The roars of beasts shook the sky, and many terrifying creatures roamed about. Lin Feng took out a chaos gem and observed it. Ever since he entered the ancient kingdom of chaos, the chaos gem had been surrounded by a faint layer of energy. A chaos gem? you actually have something like this. The cursed doll was very knowledgeable. When it saw the chaos gem in Lin Feng's hand, it was shocked. It quickly ran toward Lin Feng. Then it stood beside Lin Feng and observed the chaos gem in Lin Feng's hand. The more it looked at the chaos gem, the more shocked it became. You recognize this chaos gem? Lin Feng could not help but ask. It comes from the same source as the ancient chaos bell. The cursed doll said. What? There's such a thing? Lin Feng was shocked. The cursed doll's words were too shocking. If they came from the same source, did that mean the key to refining the ancient chaos bell was this chaos gem? If that was the case, it would be too exciting. Would he be able to refine the ancient chaos bells soon? Chapter 28:38. The cursed doll said, I've heard of this before. Back then, Pangu obtained a very special chaos stone. He used this chaos stone to forge the chaos ancient bell, and the remaining materials were used to forge 9 smaller chaos stones. No one knows what these 9 chaos stones are used for, but your chaos stone is clearly one of them. Does that mean there are still 8 chaos stones? If the chaos stones are really related to refining the chaos ancient bell or even Panga's legacy, doesn't that mean that if the remaining chaos stones are obtained by someone else, that person will have the same chance as me to obtain the chaos ancient bell or even Panga's legacy? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. That is indeed the case. That's why it's hard to say who will obtain the chaos stone in the end. Let's see how it goes. The cursed doll said. Lin Feng said, the chaos stone will definitely be mine. The cursed doll said, who knows, this place might really contain Panga's legacy. Rumor has it that this place is the burial ground of the immortals. Lin Feng was shocked. He didn't expect the cursed doll to have heard of the immortals' burial ground. He said, the immortals' burial ground is indeed the chaos ancient nation. I wonder if it's the chaos ancient nation in front of us. The cursed doll said, there's a high chance that it's this chaos ancient nation. However, I heard that a chaos ancient nation appeared in the celestial realm back then. I wonder if the chaos ancient nation in the celestial realm is the same chaos ancient nation in front of us. However, I'm guessing that they are the same chaos ancient nation. Places like this are quite strange. They can freely travel through the void and appear in different worlds, just like this chaos ancient nation we saw today. It has appeared in the 9 prefectures now, but the next time it appears, it might appear in the undying realm. Lin Feng agreed with this theory. It was indeed, as the cursed doll said. A strange place like this didn't appear in a fixed world. It could appear in many places. Every few years, there would be a cycle. In the past, this chaos ancient nation must have appeared in the 9 prefectures. After countless years, the ancient kingdom of primal chaos appeared once more. Lin Feng only wanted to explore the secrets of the stone of primal chaos. He wanted to know if he could use this stone of primal chaos to refine the primal chaos ancient bell or obtain Panga's orthodoxy. Of course, in addition to this, Lin Feng wanted to obtain some great opportunities in the primal chaos ancient country to see if he could break through to the quasi-emperor realm. Although Lin Feng knew that this was not an easy matter, even if he couldn't break through to the quasi-emperor realm, he had to at least break through to the peak of the giant god realm. If he really couldn't find the opportunity to break through to the quasi-emperor realm, he would kill the son of the sky demon emperor and snatch his black flame devouring god fire. If he could refine the black flame devouring god fire, he should be able to break through to the quasi-emperor realm. For the next few days, Lin Feng and the cursed doll explored the ancient kingdom of primal chaos together. This duo specialized in finding powerful ferocious beasts and then working together to deal with them. This was because many powerful ferocious beasts were guarding precious heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Therefore, During this period of time, Lin Feng and the cursed doll obtained a lot of top-grade heavenly materials and earthly treasures. On this day, Lin Feng and the cursed doll entered a black desert area. This place was shrouded in black fog and emitted waves of gloomy and cold aura. The gloomy and cold aura permeated between heaven and earth. It was terrifying and gloomy, causing people to feel terrified and moved. Cultivators came to this black desert, one after another. Many of them looked coldly at Lin Feng and the cursed doll, harboring malicious intentions towards them. It seems that more and more cultivators are entering the ancient kingdom of primal chaos. The cursed doll sneered and looked at the surrounding cultivators with a gloomy gaze. The other cultivators should be glad that the cursed doll didn't have any ideas about them. There were actually people who dared to have ideas about the cursed doll. Weren't they courting death? They were simply courting death. Lin Feng said, "The method of entering the ancient kingdom of primal chaos will definitely spread. Moreover, it has been a long time since the first batch of cultivators entered the ancient kingdom of primal chaos. It's normal for others to gradually find out about the method of entering the ancient kingdom of primal chaos. We don't know where the first batch of cultivators is now. As the first batch of cultivators to enter the ancient kingdom of primal chaos, they must have obtained a lot of opportunities." "Yeah, I'm so jealous," the cursed doll said gloomily. In the end, the surrounding cultivators didn't attack Lin Feng and the cursed doll. Although Lin Feng and the cursed doll didn't look like powerful characters, since they dared to act alone, they might have some unknown and terrifying methods. Therefore, the surrounding cultivators didn't dare to test Lin Feng and the cursed doll. If Lin Feng and the cursed doll's cultivation level were ordinary, then so be it. However, if they were experts, then they would all die without a burial place. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, a dense pack of terrifying creatures flew out from the black desert. They were palm-sized black scorpions. Each scorpion emitted a cold and terrifying aura. After seeing the black scorpions, Lin Feng's face couldn't help but reveal a horrified expression. The flying devil scorpion turned out to be such a terrifying creature. It was a kind of creature that lived in groups. Because it contained a highly toxic poison, its attack power was powerful, and its defense was astonishing. Therefore, it was best to retreat when encountering such a terrifying creature. If one was surrounded by such a creature, the consequences would be disastrous. It's the flying devil scorpions. Hurry up and run. Many people screamed in horror and quickly fled into the distance. However, it was too late. A large number of flying devil scorpions drilled out from the ground and pounced on the fleeing cultivators. Many cultivators were swallowed by the flying devil scorpions and died on the spot. "Hurry up and run," Lin Feng said in a low voice as he quickly left with the cursed doll. In the next few days, more and more cultivators entered the black desert. There were even great emperors. There must be something shocking in the black desert. Otherwise, great emperors wouldn't have come to a place like this. Lin Feng said, "Wait here for a while. I'll go and ask around," the cursed doll said. Lin Feng sat down on a sand dune and had a rest. Lin Feng sat down on a sand dune to rest. 2 hours later, the cursed doll returned. "How was it? Did you manage to find out anything?" Lin Feng asked. Chapter 28:39. The news brought by the cursed doll was too shocking. An ancient kingdom? Moreover, it was built by the Devil Lord. If this news was true, then it was simply earth-shattering news. It was too shocking and moving. No one dared to believe this news. Is the rumor reliable? Lin Feng could not help but ask. This news sounded too unbelievable. If it was true, the Devil Lord's legacy might be hidden in the kingdom. There's no smoke without fire, Since the news has spread like wildfire, there is a certain degree of credibility to it. Moreover, more than one great emperor has come here. The cursed doll said, the arrival of those great emperors seemed to confirm the accuracy of the news. That kingdom hasn't been found yet, right? Lin Feng asked. Yes, it hasn't been found yet. Many people have been searching everywhere for the whereabouts of that kingdom, but there has been no progress. Even the great emperors who came here are at their wits' end. The cursed doll said. Lin Feng couldn't help but scratch his chin and say, that's interesting. I don't know how many secrets are hidden in that country. We can also go and find them. If we can find that country and enter it before other people, maybe we'll be able to obtain the treasures. Many cultivators had the same idea. They would find the mysterious kingdom before others. As such, as the cultivators who found the kingdom first, they would be the ones who had the highest chance of obtaining the opportunity inside. This would make many people go crazy in their search for the mysterious kingdom. However, the Black Desert was a place filled with dangers. For example, the flying demonic scorpions from before were exceptionally dangerous. Once surrounded, death was almost certain. Apart from the flying demonic scorpions, there were other dangers in the Black Desert. There were more than just a few types of terrifying insects here. Many of them were terrifying. Of course, the most terrifying was the Black Storm. When the Black Storm swept across the world, even great emperors would have to stay away from it. Thus, the Black Storm contained an extremely terrifying power that could even tear apart a great emperor's body. Lin Feng and the cursed doll searched for many days, but they were unable to find the ancient kingdom. On the seventh night, a bright moon rose in the sky. It was supposed to be a peaceful night, no different from any other night. But in the latter half of the night, the bright moon turned into a crescent moon. Eclipse of the moon. Many people were alarmed. Tonight, there was actually a phenomenon of the heavenly dog eating the moon. Many people felt that something unknown would happen. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Not long after this phenomenon appeared, the earth began to shake violently. Late at night, a black storm swept across the world. It wreaked havoc in the void. Hurry up and run. Many people cried out in fear. If they were sucked into the black storm, they would die without a doubt. Therefore, everyone had to dodge the black storm in a sorry state. Go, 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 Lin Feng said, and quickly flew into the distance. Nothing good ever happens during the lunar eclipse. Back then in the heaven realm, when the heavenly dog devoured the moon, many immortals died. The cursed doll cried out loudly. Lin Feng was shocked. He had heard the cursed doll talk about the heaven realm before. So Lin Feng asked if the cursed doll had been to the heaven realm before, but the cursed doll denied it. The cursed doll then told Lin Feng. The cursed doll had only heard about the heaven realm before, but now the cursed doll had revealed that the cursed doll had been to the heaven realm before. Didn't you say you had never been to the heaven realm before? Lin Feng looked at the cursed doll with an annoyed expression. The cursed doll knew that it had let the cat out of the bag, so it smiled awkwardly and said, "Cough, cough. Did I say that? Why don't I remember?" The cursed doll immediately played dumb. Lin Feng had the urge to slap the cursed doll. The black storm wreaked havoc for an entire night. Lin Feng and the others also ran for an entire night. Some unlucky cultivators were sucked into the black storm and died. When dawn arrived, the black storm dissipated. Everyone could finally breathe a sigh of relief. What's that? Suddenly, someone pointed into the distance. The spire of a huge pagoda appeared in their line of sight. The ancient kingdom. It must be the ancient kingdom. Soon, a cultivator shouted excitedly and quickly rushed toward the spire of the pagoda. The ancient kingdom has appeared. Lin Feng could not help but feel excited. That ancient kingdom was too extraordinary. It was very likely the ancient kingdom that had been passed down by the Devil Lord. Would there be immortal pills or immortal origins? Would there be the Devil Lord's inheritance? Lin Feng did not ask for too much. He only needed to obtain one of those things. Obtaining immortal pills or immortal origins could increase one's cultivation level, although obtaining the Devil Lord's inheritance could not increase one's cultivation level. After cultivating the Devil Lord's inheritance, one's combat strength would increase greatly. It was equivalent to increasing one's foundation and foundation. For cultivators, this was naturally very important because it was equivalent to strengthening one's Tao foundation. It was very important for one's future. Lin Feng and the cursed doll increased their speed to the maximum as they flew toward the spire of the pagoda. At that moment, 3 figures arrived at that place as if they had teleported. They punched a hole in the ground, revealing a huge group of underground palaces. Then, the 3 cultivators entered the underground palaces ahead of time. They were the 3 great emperors who had come here. They were Great Emperor Xiexing of the Myriad Tribes. He had gone to the Red Dust Immortal Sect to kill the Red World Fairy. However, he was beaten half to death by the Red World Fairy. In the end, he relied on a secret technique to escape. Although he had recovered a lot of his strength, there was still a big gap between him and his peak. The second great emperor was Planet Lord Tsonglan. He had lost an arm, and his vitality was damaged. The third great emperor was also a great emperor from the Myriad Tribes. He was a great emperor from the fallen angel race with 36 pairs of wings. This great emperor was at his peak. The 3 great emperors were the first to enter the ancient kingdom. The rest of the cultivators quickly flew over and headed down. The ancient kingdom was sealed under a powerful seal. The black storm had torn apart a part of the seal, which was why such an entrance had appeared. Chapter 2840. In the end, Lin Feng and the cursed doll landed on the ground. One after another, quite a number of cultivators landed as well. However, many of them did not stop. Instead, they turned around and flew deeper into the tower in search of their own fortune. Lin Feng and the cursed doll raised their heads to look at the colossal tower. The colossal tower was simply too extraordinary. Most importantly, it was simply too big. It was hundreds of thousands of meters tall. Such a colossal tower was simply too shocking. Could it possess an extraordinary origin? Runes, very ancient runes. Lin Feng noticed some mysterious runes on the surface of the colossal tower. They were very ancient, and he did not know what they meant. Lin Feng and the cursed doll were not the only ones inspecting the colossal tower. Some other cultivators were also inspecting the colossal tower. Seeing such a colossal tower, they could not stop their imaginations from running wild. This colossal tower must be hiding a great secret. Look at those runes. They are simply too mysterious. Let me see if I can collect this colossal tower. One of the cultivators said impatiently. He wanted to try collecting the colossal tower. However, his attempt ended in failure. Collecting the colossal tower was easier said than done. The cultivator said with a grim expression, "There is no way to collect it. Let's go. Let's go find other fortunes." The cultivator and his companions quickly left. In a place of fortune, there was a need for such decisiveness. If they were to waste too much time on an unobtainable treasure, they might end up missing out on even more treasures. Take it away. The cursed doll flew out, as well, wanting to try collecting the colossal tower. However, despite exerting all its strength, the cursed doll was still incapable of collecting the colossal tower. The cursed doll swore, "What kind of broken toy is this? The way I see it, it is not a treasure at all. If it is a treasure, there is no way it is not moving at all." Lin Feng said, "Let me give it a try." After saying that, formidable magic powers surged out. the magic powers kept surging towards the colossal tower to envelop it. Next, Lin Feng attempted to collect the colossal tower. It was as the cursed doll had said. The colossal tower did not move at all. Lin Feng frowned. It would appear that there was no way to collect the colossal tower. Could it be that this huge pagoda wasn't a magic treasure? Just as Lin Feng was about to give up, the runes on the ancient devil ring on Lin Feng's right arm suddenly emitted a slight fluctuation. The origin of the ancient devil ring was incomparably mysterious. However, it was said to be one of the 5 supreme treasures of the devil world. This treasure was incomparably demonic. No one knew who had forged this supreme treasure. Lin Feng was unable to throw away the ancient devil ring. Therefore, he let the ancient devil ring turn into a devil ring rune that coiled around his arm. Normally, the ancient devil ring had been quite obedient and did not have any special movements. However, today, the ancient devil ring had undergone a change. This was the first time the ancient devil ring had undergone such a change. Could it be related to this giant tower? The runes on the tower seemed to be moving. Lin Feng looked at the huge tower in front of him in shock. Originally, the runes were motionless, but now they were moving. This greatly surprised Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng discovered that the cursed doll did not seem to have noticed the change in the tower. Instead, it was constantly urging him to leave this place and look for other opportunities. It did not want to waste any more time here. Was he the only one who noticed the runes moving? Was it related to the ancient devil ring? Lin Feng could not help but take a deep breath. He tried his best to calm himself down. Then, Lin Feng tried to sense the runes on the tower. This bastard has gained enlightenment. Seeing Lin Feng close his eyes and immerse himself in a mysterious state, the cursed doll looked at Lin Feng in shock. Its eyes were filled with envy and jealousy. Boom! At this moment, waves of violent fluctuations surged out from the giant tower. Lin Feng sensed the runes. He had established a connection with the huge tower. A terrifying emperor's aura filled the air. This huge tower was actually formed from an emperor weapon. Loud, rumbling sounds could be heard. The huge tower shook continuously. Even the earth was shaking along with the tower's movement. The runes on the tower awakened at this moment. Heavenly Mystery Pagoda. It has seen the light of day again. Suddenly, a deep voice sounded in Lin Feng's mind. It seemed like the tower spirit was transmitting a message to Lin Feng. Then, a large amount of information poured into Lin Feng's mind. This information included some information about the tower itself, as well as its origin. It turned out that this huge tower was called the Heavenly Mystery Pagoda. It was an emperor weapon forged by a great emperor called the Heavenly Mystery Emperor. This huge pagoda was an extremely rare defensive magic treasure. One had to know that when a cultivator forged a natal treasure, they would usually choose to forge an attack-type natal treasure. However, the Heavenly Mystery Emperor was different. In the past, the Heavenly Mystery Emperor was cautious and sought stability in everything. It was the same even when fighting against other cultivators. First, he would be invincible. Then, he would look for a way to defeat or even kill his opponent. Therefore, when the Heavenly Mystery Emperor was forging his natal treasure when he was young, he forged the Heavenly Mystery Pagoda into a defensive treasure. Of course, an emperor weapon had many uses. For example, the Heavenly Mystery Pagoda was not only a defensive treasure, but also an offensive treasure. However, the Heavenly Mystery Pagoda's offensive power was far inferior to its defensive power. Boom! The Heavenly Mystery Pagoda quickly shrunk until it was the size of a palm and floated in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng grabbed the Heavenly Mystery Pagoda in his hand and fondled it lovingly. Now, Lin Feng had many treasures on him, but he lacked a powerful defensive treasure. With this emperor weapon, the heavenly mystery pagoda, Lin Feng's defensive power had increased greatly. Even if some great emperors wanted to kill him, it would not be an easy task. Emperor weapon. It's actually an emperor weapon. Your luck is so good that it's off the charts. So many people have tried to get this treasure, but none of them have succeeded. Yet, Ubrak got it. The cursed doll said, sourly. It was an emperor weapon, and a defensive one at that. Its value was unimaginable. The cursed doll was envious of Lin Feng's luck. Hee, my luck is really good. Ha ha. Lin Feng grinned. This treasure is barely enough to catch this young master's eye. Kid, hand it over. At that moment, over 100 cultivators flew over. The leading cultivator looked at Lin Feng indifferently. This cultivator was shrouded in holy light. He was like a saint who had descended into the world. His body emitted a compassionate aura. Anyone who stood in front of him would feel ashamed of their inferiority. This was a cultivator from the sacred god tribe. They were the #1 tribe among the 10,000 tribes.